I have so many words trying to explode out of my face at once that I don't even know where or how to begin. We have a rough topic. It's a sensitive subject. We're going to be talking about guns. Guns. My word of advice is if you watch this, just please try and stick it out to the end. I'm trying to just sum up everything and all the angles and kind of why I feel like it's all just bullshit and we're just doomed, I guess. Spoiler alerts. I know it might be long or it might be drowned out or whatever, but we're going to cover all the bases. We're going to dissect the whole subject. Please try to suffer through my video. But yeah, even though it's long, I'm trying to keep it entertaining. I'm trying to keep it funny. I'm not just going to be standing here saying guns, 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 guns. I'm not just going to be standing here saying guns for 4 hours. You know what I mean? However long this is just however long it takes me to get my point across. You know what I mean? I edit it down. I'm trying to take out all the empty spaces, you know? I'm trying to get to the point. I've edited out any fucking nonsensical ramblings or anything, and I'm trying to just... I'm sorry if it takes a few hours to just, like, break down everything. But it's just like, just please listen and fucking, you know what I mean? Please, I advise, just watch my video, you know? Please, for the love of God. No, I think everybody should watch this video. But, you know, I am, you know, a Gemini, which means that, you know, I'm two-faced. But what that means is just I see both sides of every argument. I am kind of both ways, you know? And, you know, I can understand both sides of gun control. But I'm also realistic. And I know that just because we want stuff to happen doesn't mean that it's gonna happen. And I know that, you know, it's like Pandora's box is already open. You know what I mean? The technology exists. The secret of guns is out there. The knowledge is out there. You know, back in the day before guns existed and gunpowder wasn't invented or discovered or whatever, and, you know, back in the day when the knowledge wasn't a thing, it was different. But ever since that knowledge and that invention became a thing, okay, so now the, you know, cat's out of the bag or whatever. There's no getting it back in, okay? And that goes back to the fact that people could make them. And it's like, we always do feel like we want to do something, but it's just like, what are we going to do? You know, get real. No. It's already just running so far out of our control. If we tried to do gun control now, or if we tried to, like, stop guns, it would be like trying to stop a train that's going 1,000 miles an hour. You stand in front of it, probably just get plowed over. But it's like, okay, it's a giant problem in a way. You can think of gun violence as a big, multifaceted problem, okay, with different groups. And it's not one problem with one solution, okay? It's a bunch of different problems with a bunch of different solutions. I'm going to try to point that out. But it's just like, I don't know, I think we're fucking too late. I think there's already so many guns out there, and the whole thing is just a fucking web of bullshit. And it goes so deep. And it's more complicated and so much more deep and ridiculous than people think. Okay, so yeah, that's what it comes down to is I've kind of broken it down into my own little categories. So, first category is gangs. Gang shootings. Whether it's like gang members or people caught in the crossfire or like people's families or like, you know, people get killed by gangs all the time.
Deputies think that this could be gang-related? What's going on?
More than 80 shots fired here at this scene. It was like a war zone out here. The house on this street, they say, was targeted by 2 drive-by shootings on Sunday night into Monday morning.
A bunch of babies out here killing each other.
Gang experts say there are turf wars happening between rival gangs and even factions of the same gang in Tacoma.
Police responded to calls of shots fired at 11:35 a.m. today on the corner of MLK and South 19th Street. Lewis Rudd is explaining the death of a 14-year-old girl to his customers. He says that this situation is becoming too common in this area. Rudd says in the past 6 weeks, there have been 3 separate shootings at his corner.
A guy walking across the parking lot, another guy walking in front of him, and then they just have a shootout right here.
16, 15, 14, 13-year-old kids riding around in cars with their bandanas in their pockets, whichever side it's on, and they got guns, and they got masks on, and they got all of these other things. And I'm like, how did you even get that?
Tacoma police are talking to the people who live in this community. They tell me that gangs are a top priority. Worried, much more violence is on the horizon for Tacoma.
You know, people get killed by gangs all the time, okay? That's like a big part of it. And so the other group is massacres. People that snap and then do mass shootings. You know what I mean? Another group is accidents. Another group is suicides. And then the last group is crimes of passion. Crimes of passion is yeah. That's why I had to put that in a category of its own, because I was like, okay, there's gang violence, there's massacres, there's accidents, there's suicides, but then there's also like, you know, shooting your wife or shooting your mom or you know. And I'd say that those are crimes of passion. I'll put those in their own little category. But so it's 5 groups, probably with their own different solutions. But I don't know. When you think about gangs, massacres, accidents, suicides, crime of passion, I'm going to take suicides and accidents out. Okay? Suicides, we don't really have control over that. People can always kill themselves, you know what I mean? People will always get a gun to kill themselves. Anybody that ever has a gun legally, they can always just kill themselves. Like suicides, it's a category of its own thing. Accidents, anywhere there's ever a gun, there could always be an accident. So, okay, that category can fuck off also. And we're going to just think about massacres, gangs, and crime of passion. Sure, massacres could be considered crimes of passion. And crimes of passion are pretty much just anything, like where somebody gets shot that's not gang violence or massacre. But, when you think about those 3 categories, massacres is kind of the least, like, sure, it's the most people dying at once, and is the biggest tragedy, but when you think about deaths on a spectrum, on like of how many are crimes of passion, how many are massacres, and how many are gang violence, I think massacres are rare enough, even though they're not rare anymore. I think they're rare enough, at least because of the amount of gang violence and crimes of passion. Crimes of passion are like, you know, people fucking shooting each other, people fucking killing their parents, that happens all the time. So when we're talking about gun violence, we're not talking about massacres necessarily. Sure, that's the one we want to be able to stop, because that's like a ridiculous thing. But that's its own trend, and that's its own thing, and that's its own... But if you're just talking about gun violence as a whole, a big part of it is crimes of passion. Because if you think about the gangs category, okay, you already lost. They're going to have guns. They're going to get guns. They kill people and they'll take guns. They'll rob houses and tie up families and they'll just get guns. They'll fucking literally back into a Cabela's and they'll just get a dick ton of guns. And they'll just drive off in the sunset, and if the cops try to confiscate them, they'll just shoot at them and they'll be like, nope, we're criminals. We're like straight up gang members. We have guns. We'll shoot at you. We actually robbed this place and we have like every gun now that was in this store. So like we have like 700 people with guns. Yeah, come take them. Come take them. That's another thing. Is if we wanted to confiscate all the guns, it's like, okay, just think about trying to confiscate all the gang members' guns. Because I imagine we would take theirs also, right? So yeah, just imagine them trying to, go take the Hells Angels guns. Go take the Crips and the Bloods and their guns. You'll just, I'm sure that won't turn into a giant battle. You know what I mean? Like straight up. Because I don't know how many videos you've seen of people that get pulled over and the cops are just like, you have a warrant, and the guy literally just starts shooting at him.
On the metal door and announces himself as police.
Police.
Nearly 20 seconds later, Lowe opens the door and says hello.
Hey, police.
Officer in says hello back, and then...
Hello.
She sees this white pickup truck tailgating another vehicle, and so she initiates a traffic stop. Let's listen in.
Shots fired. White Arizona pickup truck headed westbound. Shots fired.
Okay. You got any weapons in here, brother? Yes. Okay. Is that an ankle monitor?
Yes, sir, it is. GPS mom out on blind.
What are you doing on your phone?
I was going to show you some pictures of the truck.
Of what?
The vehicle when I first got it.
Oh, don't worry about it, man. Let's get that ID. No, yeah, you're fine. You don't have any ID on you? Here, why don't you do me a favor? Take off your seatbelt and step out. Did you just hear me? Look at me. Take off your seatbelt.
Are you requesting me?
I'm telling you to take off your seatbelt and step out. Why don't we do this? Put your hands. All right.
So imagine all the people that were like, we're here for your guns. Like, so many people are just going to open fire right then and there. I promise. That is a guarantee. So many people will just start shooting right there. Or if they just know that people are going around door to door to do that, you won't even have to get to the door. They'll probably shoot at you. Well, a lot of people going to confiscate those guns are going to die. Because it's not just going to be a, give us your guns type deal. Okay, it's going to be a whole fucking thing. It's going to be a whole historical massacre that goes down if that tries to happen. I guarantee it. So that, yeah, good luck with that. But yeah, so gangs and that violence is a whole giant problem, okay? And that's its own problem. That has to do with brotherhood and loyalty and you know, respect and living and growing up in poverty and having to do bad things to survive. And just like, it's a whole layered psychological, economical, multi-layered just problem that has its own solution, and it's fucked up. But yeah, like I said, don't even know where to begin with that. But that's not even a gun violence situation, because on that front, we already lost. You know, they already have the guns. Okay, so gangs, that category, we already lost. Massacres, crimes of passion, and gangs. Oh, we already lost gangs. So, okay, massacres, crimes of passion. Crimes of passion, you know why you can't stop that? Because anywhere there's ever a gun, or anybody that ever has a gun, including cops, even the cops, can fucking, you know, have a crime of passion. Cops have lives. Cops are humans, right? So they can even snap and kill people. So, I think we're going after the massacres category. Like on the news, we're going after that. Because it's like the one that we sort of have control over. And you know what's kind of hilarious? I've been affected by all of these categories, except, well, I was going to say except for massacres, but I mean, this one incident I'm going to refer to, I consider a crime of passion and not a massacre. But I've known people that have been killed by gang violence with guns. I've known people that have died in gun accidents. I've known people that have died with suicide with guns. And I've known people that have died with crime of passion. And coming full circle, I know somebody whose parent was a police officer that killed their whole fucking family, like literally. And I say that kind of just like hesitantly because yeah, that fucking happened, you know. And I know the person that like his dad killed his, like, I don't even know, but the whole house full of people except for him. So fucking yikes, or whatever the fuck the word is for that. But yeah, so I've been affected by all these categories except for massacres. So massacres, you know, luckily they're as rare as they are. You know, they're becoming more and more frequent. But, so I think that's the one the only one that we feel like we can do anything over. Because crimes of passion, it's always going to happen. You know what I mean? And the people would always just get a gun. And you know what the thing is? Crime of passion, if they don't get a gun, they'll just do it with something else. So you're not really eradicating violence in that aspect. You're eradicating gun violence, but you're switching it out for something else. Possibly something worse. Isn't that fucked up? Oh, I couldn't get a gun, so I fucking set him on fire to his bed. Oh shit, well, that kind of sucks more ass, though. You know what I mean? There's, you know, you don't want to think about that one, do you? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I didn't have a gun, so I had to stab him to death with the screwdriver. You know, like, oh shit. Like, I would have done it quick if I could, but not. I had to just stab him with this butter knife 874 times. Jesus Christ. But yeah, so everything's a mess. It's all a disaster. So yeah, crimes of passion, you're not going to stop that. Because yeah, that just comes back to somebody will just get a gun and they'll do it. They're like, oh, somebody killed my wife. Or somebody fucking, you know, molested my wife or kidnapped my daughter. I'm going to go fuck them up. So either they're going to find a fucking gun, or they're gonna buy a gun. Oh, remember, whoa, they're a great person. Oh, but somebody kidnapped my daughter. So all of a sudden they cross the line, and I need a gun. Okay, I'm gonna go out and do that crime that nobody would have ever seen coming. You know, it's weird that such a law-abiding citizen just crossed the line. Isn't that miraculous and weird? So yeah, it's yeah. So yeah, just try to control human beings. Just try to figure. You know, that's what it's really about. Just yeah. And it's funny because if all guns disappear, then people are still gonna fuck each other up, though. You know what I mean? I can tell you that. And I know the guns are like used to fuck people up, and it's not like everybody's just gonna start shooting each other with bows and arrows or whatever. But it's just like, you know what I mean? People will find the guns. People that want to shoot people for whatever fucking reason we'll find the guns. And that's sad to say, but it's like, what the fuck are we going to do about that? You know, they're out there. They're just, you know, it's already kind of fucking too late. Gun violence is a raging river, you know what I mean? And it's like, put things to try to like slow it down, but there's no stopping it, you know what I mean? You know, there's things that we want to do, and there's things that'll like slow the gun violence maybe a little bit, but I guess the point is there's nothing that's really going to stop it entirely. All these laws and all these bills that we pass, no matter what they are, all of them are just going to maybe slow the violence. Like, even if they do think it's stopped, it's just hiding the shadows waiting to strike. So it's just, you know. But, so am I the only one that thinks that we get a little bit of tunnel vision every time a massacre happens? Bear with me. In Buffalo, New York, that grocery store got shot up. Okay? The first thing that I thought when I heard that happened is, New York doesn't have guns. How could that have happened? And then, yeah, come to find out, one of the first things you hear is, oh, yep, he didn't live in the state. You know, he didn't live there. So, you know, right out of the box, lesson learned from one of the most recent massacres is, you know, people will bring guns from somewhere else, you know. So that's just something, that's just a background lesson that I thought was interesting, is that, okay, there's no guns in New York, if I remember correctly, but guns exist. And so it's funny, somebody was able to get a gun from somewhere where they were able to get it, and they brought it into, you know, the place. So, and so that Buffalo shooting, he went to a place where, I don't know if he thought about this, but he went to a place where he didn't really have to worry about civilians pulling guns on him. But with that being said, there was nobody to stop him, because if that were to happen in my town, I think about how many people are carrying, like whether concealed or open carry. It's no secret that if you were to like try to rob somewhere around here, you might get shot. That would be one of my worries. If I were to rob somebody's house, or if I were to rob a store or anything at gunpoint in this town, I would think that I'd get shot. For sure. Like, just about. I'd think somebody would blast me, because that's my luck, and everyone's armed, and everyone's trigger happy, you know. In New York, that Buffalo shooting, he was the only person that was armed in that, you know, situation, other than like police or whatever. And then, so when that happened, everybody's like, oh, automatic weapons. That's what the enemy is in this scenario. It's the automatic weapons. Let's start talking about a ban on assault rifles. And then the school shooting happened, Uvalde. And so all of a sudden, oh, school shootings. That's the priority. When that happened, the whole focus now is, oh, we got to keep our kids safe. We got to find some, like, chair method in the hallways. We need to find out if we need to, like, have guards in all schools now. Like, we need to figure out this school shooting situation. And we need to protect our kids ASAP. That's the top priority. No more school shootings. Oh, my God, this is such a tragedy. We need to lock this down. No more school shootings. It's like, hey, I agree with you. Cool. Yeah. So I hear you. But that grocery store shooting that literally also just happened was not in a school. It was the same kind of tragedy, and I know it's worse when it's kids, and it's worse when they're just sitting there eating a sack of lunch and watching a movie, and they're just 9. So, of course, it's awful when they get murdered, but it's also terrible when people are just buying a bag of chips and their whole family gets killed. It's sort of a tragedy all the same, okay? So, these mass shootings are the problem, okay? It's not a school shooting situation. It's not a school security issue. It's not a assault rifle issue. It's not like a gun control. It's a people are fucked up and we got to figure that out kind of an issue. It's a what the fuck is wrong with people issue. You know what I mean?
I was almost a school shooter. In 1996, Denver, Colorado, I was a student in North High. In a moment of pain and anger, I almost committed a terrible atrocity. Growing up, I learned early on there was a strange comfort and calmness in darkness. I was always the new kid. My family was very violent and aggressive, drug-addicted parents. We were moving from place to place a lot, went to 30 or 40 different schools. You woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning by some cops who run across the country to get away from them and then end up at a school I'd only be at for a couple weeks and then have to do it all again a couple days later. Was the perpetual new kid. And since I also had such an unstable household, wasn't helped by the fact that I smelled really bad because I never had a shower or didn't really have any clean clothes. All my clothes were dirty and torn. I had a weight problem. I was smart. I liked comic books at a time when kids didn't really like people who liked comic books that much. So every time I went to a new school, it was a whole new set of bullies. They'd do things like walk up to me and shoot me with a harpoon like I was a whale, or dunk food on my head because I said I was too fat. But the bullying wasn't just at school. It happened at home a lot too. I was told I was worthless by just about everybody in my life. And when you're told you're worthless enough, you will believe it. Then you're going to do everything you can to make everybody else agree with it too. And so I did. I wrapped that darkness around me like a blanket and used it as a shield. It would keep the few that would agree with me close, but it kept everybody else away. I always had heard in life that there was good people and bad people. I must be one of the bad people, so I guess I would have to just do what I was supposed to do. So I got really aggressive. 12, 13 years old, I got really into heavy metal music, and I was the mosh pit when I went to concerts. The abuse just never seemed to stop. I got into cutting around 14 or 15 because I figured that there was all this extreme emotion going on in my life I had absolutely no control over. Had to find some way to find control over something, so I took to cutting myself. I still have the scars to this day. 15, 16 years old, I ended up homeless. My parents had long ago kicked me out because I didn't want to deal with their drunken fighting anymore, so I was living on the streets. I had thought I had pushed all my other friends away too, shoved them all away by lying to them or stealing from them or doing everything that my family taught me how to react to everybody, which was the complete wrong way of how to react. But I had no idea. I was just going on what I was taught. Finally, 16 years old, I'm sitting in my best friend's shed, who I thought I had already pushed away too by stealing from him and lying from him, laying in this shed with the roof wide open, rain pouring down on me into a dungy gray chair that was covered in cobwebs and dirt, hadn't been touched in months. And I'm sitting there with my arm covered in blood, knowing that if I didn't do something, I was going to kill myself soon. So I did the only thing I could think of to do. Grabbed a phone book and I called social services. So when I went to social services, sadly, they didn't just bring me in there. They also took my mom in there too, who happened to be one of the largest sources of my pain growing up. And since she had spent her entire life running from place to place and dealing with social workers and police officers, she knew exactly what to say to get them to believe that I was just making it all up. It was all just an act. I was just doing it for attention. And then they sent me home with her. And as they sent me home with her, she turned to me and she said, "Next time you should do a better job and I'll buy you the razor blades." My heart just got ripped out of me at that point completely. That darkness that I've been staring at for so long, I just ran headlong into it. I had nothing left to live for. I literally had nothing to lose. And when you have nothing to lose, you can do anything. And that is a terrifying thought. I decided that my act of doing something was I was going to express my extreme anger and rage by getting a gun. I was going to attack either my school or a mall food court. Really didn't matter to me which one. It wasn't about the people. It was about the largest amount of damage in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of security. Both those places were right targets. So I wish I had a better story about actually getting a gun, but that was actually really rather businesslike. There was some gangbanger kids near my school. It was back in the mid-90s when gangs were still a major problem in North Denver schools. And this kid had seen me, he knew me from my family, and he'd sold drugs to them before, and he knew that I wasn't really in school, I was just always at school, so he knew I wasn't a narc or anything like that, but didn't know him anything more than a first name, but that didn't really take anything more than that. I knew that they had access to guns, they talked about it all the time. So I went up to him and said, "Hey, can you get me a gun?" "Sure, get me an ounce." "All right, give me 3 days." That was it. I was waiting to get myself a gun so I could kill a lot of people. But thankfully I wasn't alone in that darkness. That best friend who had saved me, I was sleeping in his shed, he saw this place that I was in. Even though I had stolen from him and lied to him and taken his belongings and ruined it all, he didn't care. He still brought me in and showed me acts of kindness. Just simple acts. It wasn't the kind of overbearing kindness where they come to you and they say, "Is there anything I can do to you? Is there a program I can get you in? Is there something I can do to make you better? How can I help you?" It was literally just sitting down next to me. "Hey, would you like a meal? Let's watch a movie." Treat me like it was a Tuesday. Treat me like I was a person. And when someone treats you like you're a person, when you don't even feel like you're human, it'll change your entire world. And it did to me. He stopped me with his acts of kindness from committing that atrocity that day. If you see someone who's in that spot that needs that love, give it to them. Love the ones you feel deserve it the least because they need it the most. It'll help you just like as much as it helps them. We're in a really big, dangerous spot right now with this trend of arming the teachers and looking out for the kids who might be the threat in schools and maybe turning them into the FBI. What's that going to do to a kid who's in the position that I was in 25 years ago, who's alone and depressed and abused and is just sitting there hurting, and someone thinks that they're a threat? So he gets turned into the FBI, and 1 month of pain turns into a lifetime of legal trouble because one person thought he was going to be a problem. Instead of looking at that kid like he's a threat, look at him like he might be a friend. Look at him like you might be able to bring him into your fold. Show him that it's just a Tuesday. Show him that he's worth it. Show him that he can exist in this pain, even though it's intense, that at the end of it, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I found my light. Now I'm a happy family man. I have a father of 4. My wife and my daughter are in the audience today. And even bigger than that, the friend who saved my life, he's in the audience today too. Because friendship doesn't ever really die. We have to give love to the people who we think deserve it the least. Thank you.
It's interesting because it's like every time one of these tragedies happens, we always think, oh my God, we have to change something. We always think, oh my God, how could this have happened on our watch? We need to make sure this never happens again. We need to change something. Obviously, our system is fucked up because this was able to happen. We need to tighten the rules, or we need to take away the guns, or we need to do something different to make sure that this never happens again. But that, in my opinion, is a flawed way of thinking. And it's sad and fucked up, and I know, and it's like, oh great, the devil's won. And I know it's fucked up to say that, but in reality, if we come to terms with reality, and we try to find a solution based in reality, we have to think.
Like they're like, oh, Uvalde was the last fucking straw. Now we're really gonna write up this piece of paper.
You know, I mean, that's happened every fucking time. Like, every time there's a school shooting, they're like, oh God, we need to tighten the rules. And it's like, so Uvalde thing, they're like, we gotta tighten the rules. It's like, hey, you realize that we've been trying. Every time this happens, we try to tighten the rules. Every time this happens, we try to learn from a lesson or do something. And every time it happens, we try to evolve a little bit. And it's happened so many times that we're a little evolved. Like, we are taking precautions. We are already, like, doing what we can.
The Uvalde tragedy happened despite steps that were taken locally to prepare for such an attack. The school district had doubled its budget for security. They'd updated protocols. They'd added more officers. And they'd hosted 2 active shooter trainings in the last 2 years. So, what went wrong?
We're already, like, you know, doing things to try to prevent things, but people still do it. But yeah, I think that that's a flawed way of thinking because, think about this. We've dealt with mass shootings before. A lot. All the time. And not only mass shootings, but we, as, you know, from state to state and city to city, we deal with small shootings on a bigger scale than even the mass shootings. So it's like, as America, we deal with shootings all the time. In my city, Tacoma, people have just started shooting at each other. I swear to God, it's like a new COVID strain. It's like people get the new strain of COVID and they sneeze and all of a sudden they just start shooting people. That's the new fucking symptom or the side effect or something. I don't know. They get the vaccine and all of a sudden they just shoot somebody. They just turns them violent. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's like it's got to be the explanation. Because people are just straight up just like they've just either stopped caring about the law or they just stopped caring about their lives or they just realized that they're not going to get in trouble. I don't know what the fuck has changed. But people have just started shooting at people. So, I care for those reasons. Let alone if I back up, let's go to Uvalde. Yeah, they're like, Uvalde's the last fucking straw. Now we really need to type it. It's like, okay, cool. Now they're really going to figure it out. Cool, yeah. So now they're really going to pass a law. So yeah. But people have just started shooting at people. They don't even, it's like, and it's so sketch because it's like, they'll just do it because they're stupid. They'll just like, people just drive up at a stoplight and they'll just shoot it at the car next to them for no reason. And they'll just drive off. And And it's like, okay, so that's super sketch. What the fuck? Who would do that? Who's stupid enough and sadistic enough? And what the fuck is humanity coming to? I'm referencing an actual thing that happened, like, literally at the intersection by my house. People just start shooting a bit, like, and then, like, a restaurant by my house, person just walked up, just started shooting into window while people were eating. Just for whatever reason. Who knows, dude? Just because people are, just because they have the new COVID or whatever, And then a person goes into this apartment complex, just starts spraying the side of the windows with bullets, just walks off. It's like, is it the same guy? Is he just found out this thing that he likes to do? It's like, or what the fuck? You know what I mean? But it's like happening all the time. No joke. I have a whole video about it it's a real thing. I'm kind of thinking that it's crazy teenagers, okay? Because the people that have got caught for things like this, in my town at least, are crazy teenagers. And it seems to be like an ignorance thing. Like, oh, they're just so dumb. They don't realize that just like they think it's just some ha 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 ha, oh, we're just going to shoot as we're driving by, ha ha ha, like how goofy. Like, and they're just so fucking stupid. They don't realize that murders people. Like, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but it's like, who knows? People are so fucking stupid. It's unrealistic, dude. But it's like,
if you think about it, the vast majority of the gun violence in this country is from the inner cities. That's where it's coming from. It's these kids, literally, when I say kids, I'm talking like 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. They're shooting at each other. Now, I'm not dismissing that and saying that it's irrelevant and that we shouldn't factor that in. What I'm saying is it's a totally different reason for why it's happening. It's not a gun issue. It's a socioeconomic issue. Because if you take those same kids that look like me, right? I know a lot of black people or people of color who live in the suburbs of America, and they're not running around committing drive-bys in their BMWs. They're not. So what's the difference there? They have access to guns the same way these kids have access to guns, and these kids have access to guns illegally in the inner city. The difference is prolonged exposure to poverty. But nobody wants to have that conversation, and the reason they don't want to have that conversation is because it is admittedly hard to deal with. It's hard. It's convoluted and it's difficult.
But yeah, I deal with it all around me all the time. So I care for those reasons. My town, or just the world. I don't know if it's just the world because I don't really leave my town very often. But my town is like just like crumbling, or at least people are crumbling mentally. Because I swear to God, it's like people get shot like every fucking day now. And it's fucking crazy.
Homicide numbers are up in Tacoma more than 80% this year.
Over a dozen bullets flew into the residence of a 63-year-old woman.
13-year-old girl was shot while just sitting in her car.
2 homicides. First, a drive-by shooting. A few hours later, and about 4 miles away, a man was shot and killed on South Tacoma.
3 stores, 4 days, all pot shops, all robberies, all taking a deadly turn.
4 people are hurt after someone shot at a vehicle in Tacoma.
Two men were shot and killed on South Tacoma Way.
Officer shot someone.
PD shot an armed teen.
Tacoma police investigating a deadly late-night shooting.
Pierce County today, a shooting at a gas station. 31-year-old woman who was shot and killed. 25-year-old was gunned down. A mother is dead.
25-year-old woman was shot and killed.
22-year-old woman shot to death. 48-year-old found dead.
The Tacoma police shot him.
Tacoma police say they shot a man to death.
Tacoma during a shooting that killed 4 people.
Firing into the building and running off into the night.
Investigated overnight homicide. They found a 56-year-old man shot
after a 15-year-old was shot and killed.
We just had 2 murders last night here in Pierce County.
Neighbors jumped to help a father fight off armed robbers. Sheriff's deputy was killed in the line of duty.
A violent night in Tacoma where police are now investigating 2 shootings.
Yeah, one of them was deadly, both though unsettling for people in that community.
The first one happened about 8:50 last night in the 8800 block. That shooting is considered a homicide. Just before midnight, officers then responded to yet another shooting.
1 city, 2 mass shootings, 24 hours. The first injured 8 people at a music event on South Tacoma Way early Sunday morning. That night, the second incident occurred at a home on East 52nd Street.
2 suspects are now in custody after a 14-year-old girl was shot to death in broad daylight in Tacoma on Wednesday.
A plumber working on a service request in Pierce County is shot and killed on the job, and detectives say evidence points to the homeowner as the #1 suspect.
Hannah, Jamie, this black fence is at the center of this deadly shooting investigation. Today, I spoke with his 2 brothers who say they have so many emotions, they don't really know how to feel or what to think about this brutal death of their family member.
The gun control debate was brought front and center last week after the school shooting in Texas. And here at home, Puget Sound's largest cities are seeing a spike in gun violence.
We are at 23 homicides this year. There have been years when we didn't have 23 homicides in a whole year.
So what is going on? And more importantly, what can be done to thwart a summer of gun violence?
And yeah, on my YouTube suggested videos, it shows that that's happening like in Philadelphia and like Chicago, and like it's happening in a few places. It might just be happening everywhere. I mean, maybe people have just lost it. Maybe people just...
Police in Philadelphia are looking for the men they say shot and killed a man in broad daylight as he was filling his car with gas. Police in North Carolina are still looking for a juvenile suspect in what they call a brazen daytime shooting.
Start off with some very disturbing news out of Coral Springs. You're looking at video of a man opening fire at Broward Health Coral Springs. He fired 4 shots and then he posted the video to Facebook.
Late tonight, Coral Springs police announced they arrested the suspect because of other videos the suspect himself posted on Facebook. Police discovered he's been going on shooting sprees in Broward, and here's one of his videos. He labeled it, quote, practicing drive-bys.
What has gotten into people?
It's an argument between neighbors. Within minutes of the nasty fight breaking out, all 3 of these people will be dead. Police say James and Lisa Goy were shoveling snow onto their neighbor's property. They started yelling insults at each other.
I'll make your life live in hell, live in your
But then 47-year-old Jeffrey Spade pulls out a handgun. You can hear the woman dare him to shoot.
Go ahead!
And then he does. And the husband is hit. Then his wife is gunned down.
Oh my God!
Stunned neighbors come out of their homes. They all run away when they see their neighbor coming back, armed with an assault rifle. The video shows Jeffrey Spade deliberately walking over to them. He's shouting profanities at them, and then he shoots them again at close range, killing them both. Once more, the killer retreats to his house, and it's there that police say he takes his own life.
You know what? I don't know. All I know is I can't wait to see what bill they pass that's going to save us all. They're going to write something into Congress. All I know is they're going to sign some piece of paper, and all of us are going to magically be safe. So I'm waiting for that legislation. I'm waiting for that bill to pass. Like, I don't know what bill they're cooking up in Congress now. I'm just so stoked to see what they're going to put on a piece of paper. Like, because they're going to come up with something so good that they're just going to write it out, they're going to sign it, and school shootings are just going to be done. Nobody's ever going to get shot again. It's all going to be fixed. And so they need to hurry up with this new bill or whatever, so that can happen. But the point is I fear for my life pretty regularly. There was a person that was just pumping gas and 2 people started shooting at each other. And it's like I saw on YouTube that's happened like several times all across the fucking United States. People will just start shooting at each other and then it's a bystander will get caught in it. And like so many like places have been shot up. Like people did a drive-by on one of the police stations. It was closed, but still they just like shot it up just like to be dicks and just they're like, oh, you'll never figure out who it was, ha ha. It's like, oh, great, so there's evil out there or whatever, or reckless stupidity or people with guns at least or whatever. Yeah, so I deal with that all the time. So, okay, so that's sketch, right? We can all agree that that's sketch. But, okay, so think about, you're like, okay, so we want to stop these shootings from happening. Let's say, fuck all the fucking mass shootings. What about the shit like that I have to worry about? And it's like, I legitimately fear about these things. Fucking goddamn it. Okay, so it's like, yeah, how do we get guns away from those people? Or how did they get them to begin with? So that's what spirals on this whole thing, okay? So I don't worry about, being in class and getting shot because I, am not in school anymore. But I do worry about gun violence, There's people that walk into grocery stores and shoot people. There's people that walk into movie theaters and shoot people. There's people that, shoot people at gas stations. There's people that walk into people's houses and shoot them. There's people that, go to people's works, like wherever you work. They'll try to rob you and maybe shoot you. Or people will be shooting at each other and you'll just get shot by fucking just accident. So it's like, so with that being said, yeah, I do want some sort of gun control. But so I sit here and I think about how could we do that in a way that's realistic or possible, or what could we even actually do? And you know, I sat here and I thought for a long time about like what the fuck could we even do, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just there's so many guns, and I kind of think that it's too late to really do anything. You know? But what it comes down to is that every time a massacre happens, we have to be like, oh no. And we have to be like what do we have to change? Oh my god, we need to stop this from happening again. But in reality, I think we're doing all we can do. We've got enough things in place. You know, we've been doing this long enough, you know. We've got it sort of locked down, you know. People stop shooting from time to time, you know. It's a balance. It's not total chaos yet, you know. But yeah, I think that we just spiral on these things and be like, oh goddamn, we need to come up with a new bill. You want to know why we do that? Because when 21 kids get murdered, we can't just be like, oh, that sucks. Oh yeah, oh god, yeah, another one in America, yeah, oh shit, yeah, sorry, fuck, you know. Because if we weren't spiraling on about some shit, that's what the news would be doing. We'd be like, oh fuck, again. We can't just, the news people can't just be like 21 children were killed, and that sucks, dude. And it's probably not the last time. It's too many guns. I know it sucks and it's too late, but god damn it. Yep, it's not the last one either. I know, doesn't this suck? Yeah. People need to calm down. Yeah, maybe if we had all this, like, yeah, maybe if life didn't suck for so many people. But it's just like, you know, because that's what it all comes down to, you know what I mean? They can't just be like, it sucks. So they have to just, you know, they have to spiral on about the next plan. It's just like, okay, we should keep things sort of how they are because things are all right, okay? There's plenty of people that are armed that don't shoot people, and they will never shoot anybody. There's plenty of people out there that have their guns and they're just going to be for self-defense or whatever. And they're totally rational, responsible adults. Plenty of people out there. And those people shouldn't have their rights or their protection or their freedom taken away just because of bad people. There's more good people than there's bad people. Or at least we like to think. Or at least we hope. You know? So yeah. And even if it's like 60-40, okay, so keep those people armed so that if it ever does come down to a civil war or people fighting people, then the good people aren't disarmed, you know. Oh, we all got murdered because when the gun ban came into effect, since we're good law-abiding citizens, we gave up our arms. Oh, but then there was the people in the shadows that kept their stuff, or they fought back, or they just didn't listen, or they broke the law, and oh, they were all, you know, it worked out enough for them because they were able to keep their guns, but so now they attack us, and now we're at a civil war, and we're all getting killed because we decided to do the right thing. You know, it sucks being a good guy in this situation. Because, you know, we all just were doing what we were told and we followed the laws and now we're being killed. And I get it. When it comes down to gun battles, I get it. It's sad, but it's sad either way. And people are going to die either way. And it's just like, okay, so the evil people have the guns. We should have good people that, you know, can have the guns too. You know what I mean? So that if a battle breaks out for any reason, the law-abiding citizens aren't disarmed, you know. So it's like, to fuck, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. And then I once heard that that's how Hitler was able to take over, is because like that whole civilization of like the Jews or like Poland or like that whole area was like going through gun control for a few years or like for a long time, and then the Nazis like took advantage of certain policies to like disarm the people. And I always thought that was like a fucking, I was like, thought that was people just being dramatic or whatever, or I'd never heard about that. But I recently like went Googling around and like I tried to look like through a few sources. I tried to be unbiased about it. But no, yeah, that's totally true. Like, I call it the Hitler thing. You know? Another argument for the whole gun thing is the Hitler thing. Because, yeah, Nazis actually did use, like, actual policy. You don't think of them, like, using policies to, like, slowly, like, disarm and trap the citizens before attacking. You think of them just, like, going door to door and just, like, ripping all the Jews out by their hair and, like, fucking, you know. You don't think that, like, I don't know. And yeah, it's not like they made policies to like disarm people, but they were taking advantage of like, I don't know, it's a whole thing. You can Google it and look at it for yourself if you want to. But yeah, that's, so after I realized that was true, so okay, that is actually like a very valid argument for gun control and why American people are so like adamant about like not giving up their weapons. It's like, okay, so that's actually a very valid argument. I didn't even know about the Hitler thing. You know? So it's kind of interesting. And, you know, history, like, repeats itself, and then... But no, yes, I don't know. And so it's interesting. It goes back to that other thing. It's like when you think about, you know, everybody's talking about the Ukraine War and World War III. And, you know, at least amongst my friend groups, I often hear, oh, well, it would be different if people invaded America, because if they were to invade America, everybody's armed. Like, if they were to come to Tacoma and try to, like, you know, if it started, like, raining Russians or whatever, everybody has a gun. So everybody would be, you know, fucking shooting at him. Not only would they have to deal with the military, but they'd have to deal with all the rednecks and the gangsters and the lunatics and the fucking just crazy people, or the school shooters, and just all the people that have guns and all the hunters, and just, like, everybody has a gun for whatever reason. Everybody's armed to the goddamn teeth. So people don't really try shit, you know. Or I don't know if you've seen videos on YouTube of people trying to get, you know, half of all robberies, like, the gas station clerk, like, shoots them back, or like it's always turns into a gun battle, you know what I mean? So I guess what it comes down to is it's a complicated problem that has many off branches, and it spirals off into so many different things and so many different problems. But I guess the main problem of it all is it all comes back to one thing, and that is life sucking. If your life sucks, you don't care about your life, and so you don't value other people's lives, and you don't value life as a whole, and so you do whatever you want or whatever, or you go on a massacre, or, you know. So I think the common theme is life sucking. Because you don't see, like, rich people with great lives going on massacres. I mean, do you? I mean, I don't know, right? Other than, like, you know, Vladimir Putin, or, like, you know, or, like, people like that, or whatever. But that's kind of a different thing, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's like we've already fucking tried to take precautions. And they're like, oh, let's do these red flag laws now. Let's just make sure that the guns don't get in the hands of lunatics. It's like, there you go. Yeah. We weren't trying to do that before. You're totally right. We should try to do that. Yeah. But it's like, how do we know if somebody's crazy or not? I just think it's funny because it's like, okay, so yeah, like Chris Watts or whatever the fuck that guy is, he murdered his family, right? He was a normal guy. Oh, he was such a normal guy. Nobody could have ever seen this coming. Oh, aren't they always just the nicest guy? Oh, it's just the nicest normal guy. Nobody could have ever seen it coming. And yeah, A of all, he didn't even use a gun. He just, like, fucking stabbed his family or put him in a wood chipper, or, like, I don't even fucking know. Smothered him and then put him in a wood chipper. I don't know. I don't think he used a gun, though. Another thing is he was, like, 30 or 40 years old. It's like, okay, so he was just a normal, just average American dude, like, had a job, had a truck, had kids and a wife. He's a normal-ass fucking dude. Like, we'll give him 70 rifles because he's so fucking normal. But then at 40-something, he just snaps, murders his kids, murders his wife, puts them all in a wood chipper, and still is just like, afterwards, they're like, oh my God, why would you do that? And he's just like, I don't know, I had enough. They're like, you're so, like, composed and normal still. He's like, yeah, I don't know, killers can just be normal people. I don't know, lunatics can just, I don't know, am I a lunatic? I just kind of like, I don't know, I lost it. It all just went fuzzy for a second. I don't know. And so it's like, okay, yeah. So people can just snap. Or people can just lose it. Okay? They can have clean records and then just lose it. You know what I mean? They can have, like, normal lives and then at one point it's like, oh yeah, I had all this clean record, and I was like, boop. Okay, so is he a lunatic the whole time? Or did he just turn into a lunatic? Or, like, what was the red flag law? Or, like, what was the red flag there? You know what I mean? Because that happens a lot. A lot of people that murder people, surprisingly, or just do it out of nowhere. Oh, he had no criminal record, and then he shot his mom in the face. Okay, well, your criminal record starts now then. But it's too late already, so.
Joining me now is Catherine Schweit, was an FBI agent for 20 years before retiring in 2017. She created and ran the Bureau's active shooter program. Thanks so much for being here. Here's my first question. Can we stop the shooting? Are there warning flags that you can see in these type of people that you can say, there it is, right there, they should be stopped before they ever get to the school?
Yes, there are tons of flags that we can look for. You know, individuals who are doing this kind of violence move on a trajectory towards that violence. They get the idea to do it. Then they plan and prepare. That's where we see these kids and these adults buy their weapons, buy their equipment, surveil the area. Plus, they also leak this information to people. I think it's astonishing how that in 80 to 90% of the instances, somebody else is told this is going to happen. The shooter leaks the information to somebody. So you really have to listen to the people around you. Yeah, 80 to 90% of the time.
Seems tragically familiar. An angry man interrupted a school board meeting in Panama City, Florida today, blamed them for firing his wife, and then leveled a handgun. He said he planned to die and apparently had every intent to kill. What you're about to see now is graphic. Tension builds as he rants at the male board members over a sales tax increase, while Superintendent Bill Husfeld tries to calm him.
Just listen to me for a minute. I don't want anybody to get hurt, and I've got a feeling that what you want is the cops to come in and kill you because you're mad, because you said you're going to die today. But why? This isn't worth it. This is a problem. Please don't. Please don't. Please.
Duke fires wildly. 4 shots. He then crumples to the floor, shot from the back of the room by Chief of Security Mike Jones, a former detective. As he lay wounded, police say Duke then used a remaining bullet to take his own life.
Captivating a nation with the scene that was captured on video. Of the many people who watched that tape in utter shock, Duke's widow, Rebecca.
I had to watch it because I didn't believe it. And I've watched it. I see what everyone else sees too. The shock, the horror.
For Rebecca, the scene is still unimaginable. She says her husband of more than a decade was a gentle, compassionate man with a great sense of humor.
He always wanted to do the right thing and help people. He's a family man.
He was not a violent man to you?
No, absolutely not.
It must have been difficult for you as people speculate about what may have been going through his mind. What do you think happened that day?
Honestly, I don't know what triggered it that day, and that's going to be a question I'm going to be asking myself for the rest of my life.
So yeah, shit like that. But yeah, so it's like, because we don't know the answer to that, do people just go crazy? Or are people always crazy? And if people are always crazy, they can be so good at hiding it, they can live their entire lives and nobody can ever know until it's too late. So it's just like red flags, or it's like, I don't know. But so yeah, I think that making life not suck for people, I think that fixing the minimum wage would have more of an impact on gun violence than tightening the laws. Oh yeah, let's bolt down the laws and let's shake the beehive. We'll tighten the bolts. We'll clamp down. We'll turn the heat up. And that should fix it. that should do it. I'm sure there won't be a civil war, an uprising, or nobody will get shot for any reason. We'll just clamp down on more laws. We'll sign some more things. We'll make them harder to get. Hey, no, you won't. You'll try, but they're not going to be harder to get. Oh, we made them harder to get. Okay, well, you made one of the 7 pathways harder, but it's like there's a trail that's going through the border, and they're like really beefing up security on this fucking one fucking known trail, and they have all these sniper posts, and it's like, but hey, nobody's using that fucking trail anymore, okay? People already figured out that way was blocked and secured, so there's like 7 other tunnels that go through that, like, okay, so yeah, beef up security on that entrance. You're good. Yeah, do that. I actually support you. And everybody else is just going to go through this other one while you do that. Yeah, because there's actually 7 other pathways. I grew my beard out fucking thinking about this too hard. But anyways, something to think about. I think compassion, and I think that, yeah, raising the minimum wage and making life not suck for everybody. If you made it so that working a normal job was livable, maybe people wouldn't be committing crimes that wind up in people's death, or people wouldn't be robbing people and leading to death, or people wouldn't be, snapping because they're pissed off and killing people, or people wouldn't be having nothing to live for because they're losing their houses, or, people would be able to afford to live a happy life, and they wouldn't just, get a hold of a gun and just fucking make the world suffer, or fucking do whatever, get their revenge, or, maybe if life didn't suck so much ass. Maybe if you, signed some bills to, make things not suck dick and ass, then, just sign something into effect that makes people fucking happy, It's like, oh yeah, we fixed society, and the economy's good, and fucking everyone fucking has a good job, and everybody's thriving, the economy's good, we have all this new technology, everybody's just fucking, just eating fucking ice cream, and fucking getting laid, and driving fast cars, but crime is through the roof, and everybody's killing everyone. It's like, no. If you fixed society, it wouldn't be, oh, society's fixed and now everybody's shooting everyone. No, I'm pretty sure that if you fixed some shit, it might have a positive effect on how people feel. It might reduce murder. If life wasn't such a shit pit, if life wasn't such just a chaotic circus, like, you know what I mean? It's like, whole life is just good. Like, okay, maybe I won't go on a massacre. Like, aren't you trying to stop massacres? Like, okay, why would anybody ever do that? Because they live in hell, and they're a demon, and they're just going, and they're just being a spawn of Satan. Okay, cool. Well, let's not be in hell, and that won't happen. Okay. And so I'm going to spiral on a whole thing, because, okay, what is it, Switzerland or Sweden or one of those places? Everyone is armed, yet they have the lowest gun violence. And you think, okay, what's happening there? And so I have a theory. The guy says every male is forced to go into the military. So every male in this Sweden or Switzerland or wherever the fuck, every male has a gun. Because every male of age gets enlisted into their military. So, what does that tell me? Goes back to the whole life sucking thing. Okay, they don't have low gun violence because everyone's armed. Okay, that doesn't make too much sense, right? Everybody has training with a gun. Okay, I could see something there. But then again, guns aren't rocket science, okay? I'm sure that, gang people know how to work guns and they know gun safety just as much as the next person. And, sure, they're might not be as responsible or conscious about how they use them or whatever, but you know what I mean. But so I think that they have low gun rate because everybody's in the military. It's not the training that saves everybody's life. It's not the fact that everybody's armed that saves everybody's life. It's a sense of community that's saving everybody's life. I think over there they have no reason to kill each other. Because don't they have good health care and a good education system, and all their males are in the military. That means there's probably no gangs. Because remember, you join gangs to have that sense of community. If you have a bad family life, or if you have, close to nothing in your family, and you're being brought up in the streets, you turn to gangs. And you find family that way, or you find a brotherhood that way. And so, I think in Sweden, they're given that brotherhood when they're forced to go into the military. But on top of that, they're also taught how to use guns. And everybody's armed. So it's this trifecta of, okay, that's why there's not gun violence, is because they are just living life over there. They've kind of got it mastered. Over here, we're just ripping each other apart with chainsaws and fucking submachine guns and stuff. Living La Vida Loca. Just in the worst way possible. But no, yeah, so this is all relevant to itself. Because all of these things, on all of those groups, gang violence, massacres, accidents, suicides, crimes of passion, all of those would be absolved by the one solution. And that is whatever Sweden's doing, making everybody go into the military. And so what is the consequence of forcing all of the men into the military? Oh, they all know how to use firearms. So since guns exist, everybody's familiar with how they work, because that's kind of a smart idea. You know what I mean? It's good to be educated on how guns work. You know what I mean? Let's say you're running from somebody that's murdering you, and you run into this house and you see a gun on the table and you pick it up and you pull the trigger and nothing happens, and you're like, oh my god, wait a minute. Do I have to cock this thing? Is it even loaded? Wait a minute. I just realized that this isn't a movie and I just pick up guns and they don't go bang. Is the safety on? And you're looking at this thing. You're like, well, okay, what kind of gun is this? And you're like, and you'll realize pretty quickly that yeah. You're like, oh, if I just had my own gun and I knew how it worked. I had a virtual VR experience. Playing Call of Duty on a PlayStation is one thing, but when you're in VR and they throw you in the battle, you realize a few things about guns pretty quickly. You're in the battle, right? And you're like, oh, and you fucking shoot, and you go to reload. You're like, wait a minute, they just threw me in the battle and I just realized I don't know exactly how this gun works, and then you get shot. Because you're standing there like, oh, wait a minute. Because it's always something just slightly different. It's like, you click it in, pull it back. You know, a lot of guns, it's like, we know the design of because of their names and everything. But it's like, in some of these death matches in VR, they throw you in with like this big LMG and you're like, you go to reload it and you're just like, wait a minute. I have no idea how this thing opens. Fuck. I see now why they have training and why they train people with guns, because they're all slightly different. And in the heat of the moment, you're going to want to know how it works and not just be looking for the lever, like be like, I know that this one has one somewhere. You know, they all have this thing. There's this button. Where's the button? You know what I mean? It's like, because just the other day, I realized I have a crossbow, right? That's like pretty much like a gun that shoots arrows, but it also shoots like metal balls, and it's this big weird contraption of death, right? And the other day I thought I should go practice shoot this thing, just for funsies, because I have it, and it's like getting kind of like, it's just sitting there, and I was like, I get some use out of it. I went outside, I realized I forgot how the fuck that thing even fucking works, dude. And it's funny, because I have used it before. I have practiced with it before. So that tells you, like, military training, or like learning how to use guns, or like, it's kind of an important thing.
It's just before midnight and our homeowner is down the hallway and in bed. But the sound is important here, so let's listen in.
Terrifying moments caught on camera as a Phoenix homeowner protects themselves from several suspects trying to break in.
The Phoenix Police Department released this surveillance video tonight. You can see 4 men kicking in a front door only to be met by gunfire from the homeowner.
The suspects quickly fled the scene in a
Stories in the description, folks. There's an interview with this woman after the fact. She comes out and sees him, and the guy points a gun at her, but the 2 bad guys we see there run off, and the 3rd one's running off as well because she's armed. And what we're going to see here from the other angle, as they bug out, she's coming out, and the 3rd guy runs off towards the back door as she gets shots out there. And if you go read the news story, one of these home invaders died in her driveway. Now she finally takes that last shot, and this one's over, and you can see she's got her cell phone in her hand because she's trying to get on the phone with 911.
But yeah, that's how you eradicate all those. You'd eradicate the gang violence because they would already have a sense of brotherhood through the military. You'd eradicate massacres because people would have a sense of belonging and they wouldn't want to go on massacres. You'd eradicate the accidents because people would be informed with weapons and how they work. You eradicate suicides because back to that whole life not sucking thing, if you have a purpose in a sense and you live in a place where people aren't just getting killed left and right, so that'd be awesome. And then the crimes of passion. That normally happens when, you know, going back to your life falling apart and you're just like, oh, god damn it, Becky, and you blow her fucking child's head off. And you're like, oh, fuck. But yeah, I think we need to try to think about every solution one by one. And like I said, it all comes down to Switzerland or Sweden or whatever the fuck has it nailed. Yeah, I think the real solution is just becoming like them. Except for we could never do that. So, we already lost. Comes back to we already lost. The only solution we wouldn't want to do. It's like make everybody go into the military. Oh, that's considered a draft, and at least half the people would hate that. So yeah, no. Oh, it's for our own good. It's gonna help fucking. That's what they always say. Yeah, this just starts a whole fucking thing. But yeah, so I think that putting everybody in the military is kind of the only solution. But our whole country would have to change, and all of our ideas and everything, like so much would have to change, and that might not even fix it because of how we are. But it's like. So I think that we really just need to chill out. We need to stop tightening the laws, because that's going to piss more people off. We're going to cause an uprising or a civil war, and then people are really going to die. You know, people are really going to get shot. So maybe, and I feel like a dick for saying this, but maybe we need to just stop tightening rules every time something happens. Because if stuff just inevitably always happens, then what, one day the rules are going to be so tight that nobody can leave their house, or like, you know, it's going to be on such lockdown that just police are just everywhere and they just shoot everybody for everything because everybody's insane. You know, like they're going to tighten the rules so bad that, you know what I mean? Or when do we stop tightening them? Like, when does it become When is it already tight enough? You know, it's the slippery slope. And it's like, it's not really doing anything. Because at the end of the day, the biggest argument, I watch all these gun debates, and I've watched all these fucking gun videos, and I watched all these people debating this and that and this and that. Oh, blah, 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 oh, blah, blah. You know what? And it's all bullshit. And you know why it's all literally bullshit? Because everything that they're saying can be dissolved when you just say the sentence, oh, but if somebody wants to murder somebody with a gun, they can get one. Period. No matter what law is passed, no matter what happens. You know what I mean? No matter what happens, no matter what law, and I hate to fucking break it to you, because it's just like, oh, just make guns harder to get. It's like, literally in my state, not even that long ago, 4 fucking young adults backed into a gun store and just stole like a dick ton of guns, a dick ton of ammo, and just handed them out to their fucking gang friends or whatever.
And then you have the Tucktown Kings, based out of Tukwila. Here's video of them smashing a car into the West Coast Armory in Bellevue. They stole 70 guns in that heist. It's one of the major ways that criminals get cheap guns on the street. They steal them.
So, okay, now a whole bunch of like these gang members are illegally armed now. So it's like, oh, great. Yeah. So it's like, if we didn't sell guns, that wouldn't be there to be stolen like that. But it's just like, okay, so we're obviously going to sell guns or you know, something's going to happen. But we should definitely lock those buildings the fuck down so that can't happen, right? Like, the fact that they were able to do that's kind of ridiculous. Like, you should definitely have them like, god damn it, like, you shouldn't be able to just, because I'm sure that happens all the time. It's just like, god damn it, okay. So, or just like, you know, that's kind of what I think that it is, though. It's a criminal problem. It's not a gun problem. It's a criminal problem. Because criminals will get the guns. And that's what it's all about, is it's just like, even if you outlaw them, it's like, okay, so what did that do? That does nothing. Literally does nothing. And yeah, it goes back to that fucking old fucking thing. It's just like, oh, we'll just make guns illegal. That way, criminals and murderers, they just won't get them. You know, like everybody that has a drug dealer knows, you know, criminals are pretty good at getting stuff that they're not supposed to have. Yeah. Let's do the same thing that we did with drugs. You know, well, we outlawed drugs, and that's why nobody can find drugs. Nobody's on drugs. Drugs have been eradicated. Nobody can find them. They've vanished. So ever since we made drugs illegal, that fixed it. You know, we'll just do the same thing that we did with drugs. You know, we'll outlaw guns entirely. That way, only the criminals have them in the shadows. That's what we'll do. But yeah, it's just so many things. Even if you outlawed them, it's like, okay, so what did that do? That does nothing. Literally does nothing. Because they'll get it from like a friend, or they'll break into a house, you know, or they'll break into a gun store, or they'll buy them off the fucking black market. It's like, yeah, okay, so yeah, people do that all the fucking time. And you're like, what is the black market? Okay, so let's say that a bunch of fucking hoodlums are like robbing houses and robbing cars and fucking doing all this shit, and they fucking break into this fucking house and they find a few guns that aren't in safes and they fucking take them. Or even if they do have a safe, they like rob this house and they like fucking tie this family up and fucking get the guns out of the safe. Rob the motherfuckers blind for all their jewelry and all their weapons, and they fucking dip off. And then anybody that can't get a gun is just like fucking, like, you know, they're walking through an alley one day, or they're fucking going on Craigslist, or they're doing any number of shady weird things just looking for a gun, and somebody's just like fucking pulls out one of those trench coats and he's just like, do you want to fucking Glock? It only has 5 bullets. I stole it from this guy's nightstand. You want this fucking shotgun? I mean, it's got 2 rounds in it, but that's kind of it. But you know, I stole this from under some guy's bed. I killed a gang member and took this from him. It's like, you know what I mean? Or here's a scenario for you. Some guy fucking wants to get a gun, but he just got denied at the gun shop, so he stands outside waiting for somebody, and he finds this guy, and he's like, oh, that guy looks moldable enough, and he looks kind of like he needs some money. So let's say you're a criminal, you've been robbing houses, you know, like you find a few necklaces or rings, you know, you got a bunch of fucking gold, so all of a sudden come up on a decent amount of money, right? And you're like, oh, I have some people I want to murder if I only had a gun. And they go to a gun store, and they come up to this guy, and they're like, hey, Larry, you just bought a gun, right? So you can legally buy a gun? You want to go in there and buy me another one? He says, that gun right there? $300? Just get me 1 box of bullets, 1 gun. I will give you $7 grand. How about that, Gary? You want to make 7 fucking grand? And Gary's just like, oh my god, what the fuck? He's like, are you serious? The guy just whips out a fucking fat stack of cash, and he's just like, yeah, dude. He's like, I'll pay for the gun. All you have to do is you got to go in there and buy it for me. And Gary's like, oh, well, that sounds super sketch. Why would I buy a stranger a gun? He's like, because I'll give you 7 fucking grand. And it's not like I'm going to do anything with it. Like, what would I do with it? I just want to use it for protection. You know, it's not suspicious that I'm giving you 7 grand for this gun. You know, I just can't get one. So that's why I'm raising my price so much. Why would I do anything sketch with it? And then so Gary's like, okay, yeah, we don't live in a movie. What are the odds that he would just go out and do some sketch with it? You're right. I'll buy it for him. You know, what's the harm? You know, I'm sure he seems like a nice guy. So what's the harm? You know, I get 7 grand. I'll never see him again, or I'll never be involved in the situation. Okay. Boom. What about that fucking situation? Or they just, you know, or they just try it all, and I'm sure that they find one because they're in America somewhere. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Or yeah, people could just make them. That's another that people don't realize, that it's like, once you know the science behind what it is, you can just kind of just make it. You know what I mean? Like, go to a hardware store, buy a few things, you just make one. I'm pretty sure, right? If you know what you're doing, you know, knowledge is power type thing. You know, the technology exists. And that's what's messed up. People could make a gun if they really wanted to. Let's say that they outlawed all guns, and then some crackhead in his basement is like, hey, it's funny. It's actually not even that difficult. I'm going to take this little pipe, this little nail thing. I'm going to fucking use some duct tape, screw some wooden shit in some weird directions. I just made a homemade shotgun. Now I'm going to take over the world because nobody else has guns. That's like, you know, hobo with a shotgun. That's probably not the premise to that movie, but it probably should have been.
And then some crackhead in his basement is like, hey, it's actually not even that difficult. I'm going to take this little pipe, this little nail thing, I'm going to fucking use some duct tape, screw some wooden shit in some weird directions. I just made a homemade shotgun.
But you know what I mean? And it's like, since every person that has a gun is a potential person to misuse it, and anybody could snap, it's like, so the only safe thing to do would be to take everybody's gun. You know, the red flag. I'm worried that the red flag laws would victimize people or get people in trouble or ruin the lives of people that weren't actually going to do crimes, and at the same time not actually stop any real massacres. I'm just afraid of that. I'm afraid of that. And so I guess that's also part of the question, though, is what happens if our plan doesn't work? You know, what if we push this gun control through and it doesn't work? What if we pass this new red flag law and they take all the guns from the lunatics and they tighten the rules once again? And then another massacre happens. What do we do then? So do we tighten the rules again? It's like, how are we so sure we're going to figure it out this time? You know what I mean? And like, how tight are the rules? Can, like, we're just going to keep tightening the rules on this all, or like, you know what I mean? So, I look like Wolverine about it, okay? My beard's growing backwards, and no, just kidding. I don't know what's happening, okay? I'm losing my hair in a very interesting fashion. No, I'm just kidding. I wish. But yeah, anyways. But yeah, I worry about, like, what if we do all these things and then it doesn't work? Yeah. Oh, then we're really tight in town, and then it happens again. Yeah. We're gonna slowly realize that no matter what we do, people still do fucked up things. You know what I mean? So it's like a feeling that if we do these laws, if and when we do them, that shit's still gonna happen. And then what do we do? When do we get to the point where we just say, sucks? I guess, you know, we've done all we can do. Like, fuck, you know, sucks. Yeah. So people need to chill out, straight up. My facial hair needs to chill out, straight up. I think it'd actually be really funny if, like, we did successfully eradicate guns. Like, everybody gave them up willingly. like the few people who fight back like died, and then just like the whole gun problem was solved, and like all the guns were taken. I think it was super funny if then just like school massacres and massacres and mass killings still happened, but just as frequent, but just with like knives or something. What would we do then? Ignore all of me. Yeah, that's another thing. It's just straight up ignore the way that I look. Like straight up, it's declining. I don't know if it's getting better or worse. No, but yeah, what would we do then? Like, we finally got rid of guns, and then like the next day, like some guy killed 25 people with a fucking set of golf clubs. Or like some guy went on a massacre with a bow and arrow the other day. So, it's just like massacres just still happen. It's just like it's just always something just ridiculous from now on. And like killings don't really stop. They just like they're just different now. You know, it's like, 'cause yeah, what would we do then? If massacres still happen, but we got rid of guns and we realized that it's not a gun violence problem, but it's just a violence problem, and it's not a gun problem, but it's a people problem. Like, what will we do then? You know what I mean? Because I hate to break it to you, but, you know, maybe I watch too much news, or I look at the internet too much, or maybe, you know, fuck me or whatever. But I hate to tell you this, but you can go on a rampage with a car. I've seen somebody go on a rampage with a can of gasoline and matches. I've seen somebody go on a massacre with a knife. You know, speaking of Texas, Uvalde, you can go on a Texas chainsaw massacre. If you want to be an evil, sadistic piece of shit and kill a lot of people, there's more things than just a gun. And I get it, but guns are literally made to kill people. That's the difference. In case you don't know, that is the difference. People are like, it's different to outlaw knives, because knives are tools and they're multi-purpose, and it just so happens to be easy and convenient to kill somebody with it. So, but we can't outlaw knives or screwdrivers, which is all pointy objects. Why would we outlaw guns? Okay, well, the difference is that guns are a tool literally made, manufactured, and built just for one purpose, and that is just to murder stuff. It's to snuff out consciousness in one way or another. It's a hunting rifle. Okay, it's made for hunting. It's for killing animals. Okay, an assault rifle is literally made for killing people. A handgun, I'm pretty sure, is an invention to murder human beings in self-defense and keep one in your pocket. Like, it's literally a tool for murder. It's a consciousness eviscerator. And that's why they're like, it's like, okay, we can understand having knives or this or that or this or that, but do you guys need literal consciousness eviscerators? Like, just on everyone's, like, why does everybody need a fucking consciousness eviscerator? And so it's like, yeah, when we talk about trying to ban guns, it's kind of like, because we don't need tools just for murdering people, because then people are gonna get murdered. You know what I mean? And it's a valid argument. I'm not the kind of person that's like, arm everybody. That's the solution. Because that's obviously not the solution. Quick little thought experiment. Okay, think about just a studio apartment, okay? And it's frozen in time and it's chilling there. If you go in that studio apartment, what is the likelihood that you're gonna get shot? It's absolute zero. Because remember, that room is frozen in time. If there's no gun in there and you walk in there, the chances that you're gonna get shot is absolute zero. Unless somebody comes in there with a gun, there's no possible way you could get shot. But remember, it's frozen in time, so you go in there, the possibility is zero. Okay, you put a gun in there, the likelihood that you're gonna get shot just went from 0 to, I don't know, but something. So put 5 more guns in there, make one of them lean up against a wall, give all your roommates guns, but they're safe with them. Okay, well, your chance of getting shot just went from 0 to something. So that's why you don't arm everybody, okay? It's like, if you have a gun in your house, yeah, the chances of somebody getting shot just went from 0 to something. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I sometimes feel better when there's not a gun in the room for that reason. You know what I mean? But I have a feeling that these red flag laws are gonna, like, evolve. Because it's like, okay, yeah, what if they, like, get rid of people's guns? Like, oh, James is a lunatic. We should take his guns. Then he fucking goes into a shopping mall and fucking pours gasoline on fucking 15 people and sets them on fire. It's like, well, god damn it. I guess we should have fucking, you know, we couldn't trust that motherfucker with even a gas can and some ashes. Like, so it's gonna be like, the red flag things are gonna, like, evolve. Because it's gonna be like, oh, at first these people shouldn't have a gun. But then it's like certain people shouldn't have knives. Because is there gonna be levels to it? Like, you know what I mean? And it's going to evolve into, oh, well, certain people shouldn't have anything. He's just like, yeah, I don't know. I could see him doing that. You know, like, yeah, because certain people, it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter what the fuck the person has. He's not, like, anything can be a weapon. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, some serial killers fucking just, like, strangle a person with their hands. Be like, oh, well, fucking Timmy has such a red flag that he can't even be trusted with his own hands. You know what I mean? There's some people out there to where it's like, yeah, what are they going to do? Just go out and just lock them up? You're like, you have such a red flag on you that you're not even allowed to just be out in society. You can't even exist. We're not even going to, like, let you, like, get to the point where you eventually fuck up because we know you're going to. So we're just going to lock you away now. You can't be trusted with anything. And they're like, how do you know that? What do you base that off of? I mean, true, but yeah, what do you base that off of? It's like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a slippery slope. They're gonna come to my house and confiscate all the silverware. They're gonna say this motherfucker can't be trusted with a spoon. Okay, and I'm not gonna be able to have any argument back. It's gonna be so valid. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, it's a mental health problem, not a gun problem. But another thing, going back to the whole school shooting thing, on this Tedtalk called "I Was Almost a School Shooter," he says the words, "I was planning on shooting up a school or a food court." He said, "The place didn't matter. I was just planning on going where I could make the most amount of damage to the most amount of people with the less security in the least amount of time." He said, "Most places are both right places." Yeah. So some school shooters shoot up the school because the kids have been bullying them, right? But do they go after just the kids that bully them? Or they shoot up just those schools? Okay, so it's a mental health thing if they're killing random people, okay? If they're killing just the bullies, that's something different. But it's like if they're killing... So it's like if the people go to school there, you're going to have a hard time, defending against that. But if a kid doesn't go there, it's a little bit better. But it's like either way, though. They're going where there's less security. It's not about shooting up a school. A lot of times, it's just about chaos. Yeah. They want to create a lot of chaos. They don't necessarily want to murder children. They want to create chaos.
Introduce a little anarchy. Upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos. Oh, and you know the thing about chaos? It's beer.
They know that if people's kids get murdered, they're going to be super pissed, and it's going to ripple effect negativity, and they're just trying to stir the pot.
It's about sending a message.
You know what I mean? They don't really care who they kill. I mean, sometimes they do, obviously. It's just, I don't know. There's so much to it. There's so many layers. It's bullshit. But so I have a few ideas that are small things that I feel like could make a difference. But at the end of the day, nothing is going to make a difference because it's not locking down schools. It's not tightening security at schools. That's, because it's not a school shooting issue. It's a people going on massacres issue, okay? People will do it in a movie theater. People will do it at a church, at a grocery store. You know what I mean? It's like wherever there's a congregation of people that you want to attack. But yeah, it's definitely like, I don't know. We're always freaking out like, oh, this massacre happened now. Oh, God. Oh, apparently we didn't tighten enough rules last time because it was able to happen again. And the fucked up reality is it's always going to happen. As long as there's people out there losing their shit, they're going to fucking drive in a crowd of people or bomb a building or shoot up a school or they'll do whatever the fuck they within their power to fuck shit up for as many people as they can in one way or another. You know what I mean? Because people are good at that. They don't need an assault rifle. I mean, sure, it makes it easier or whatever, but it's just like when these people lose it and they're decided that they're just going to fucking go haywire or whatever, it's like, yeah, they'll just do whatever. And people are fucking... But yeah, I just hate that it's like every time something happens, we're like, oh, now we got to change rules. Oh my God, there's not enough. I've seen so many like debates about like, oh, do we put cops in schools? Oh, because now shooting has really happened because cops are just enforcing school rules and they'll be so violent about it. It's like, do we put officers in schools? Is that how we stop school shootings? It's like guys, Jesus fucking Christ, you guys have blown so far beyond the point that it's ridiculous. Are you guys just talking just to fucking say words at this point? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, okay, just have an officer there, don't have an officer there. It doesn't make a fucking difference, okay? If somebody's gonna walk in there with an AR-15, he's going to shoot the officer. He doesn't give a fuck, okay? That poor little officer, even if he does have training, might get blindsided. Everybody might get blindsided because it's a tragedy. It's a blindsided, horrific tragedy that takes the lives of whoever's in the way of this lunatic. And I hate to break that reality to you, but this motherfucker is going to have some sort of a plan or some sort of a fucking something, and he's going to just he's going to fucking do whatever to at least somebody, right, before he gets stopped. And it's like, okay, so we have to stop these people from wanting to do that in the first place. That is the trick. But so, 3 things that I can think of that would actually make a difference from gun control. There's actually 4 things, okay. Something that we could do that might make a difference. First thing, raise the age of buying a gun. You shouldn't be able to buy a gun when you're 18. That's too young. The person that shot up the grocery store and the person that shot up the fucking thing, both mass shootings that happened this year were 18-year-olds that had just legally bought those weapons. And anybody that's, not 18 can tell you that you're not really developed at 18, okay? They say that you're an adult at 18, but are you allowed to drink alcohol? No. Okay, so you're an adult, but you can't really do everything. So okay, we're an adult at 21, but then any 21-year-old can tell you, well, I kind of really... So at 25, you're still not really an adult? You're like, well, are we an adult at 30? You're like, am I just... really slow, or am I supposed to be an adult? But yeah, okay, so 18 is too young. If you cannot drink alcohol, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun, you know what I mean? If you can't alter your consciousness legally, you shouldn't be able to take others away. Because remember, guns are literally just made for killing things. Okay, so you shouldn't be able to buy a tool that snuffs out consciousnesses if you aren't even old enough to alter your own. And it's like, we always say that, oh, you're an adult when this happens, or you're an adult when you're 18, you're an adult when you're 21, you're an adult when you're 25, you're an adult when you're 40. It's like, we need a little bit of a better line for that, okay? And it shouldn't be 18, okay? They recently upped the smoking age, at least where I'm from, went from 18 to 21. That's hilarious. But it's just okay, yeah, so make the fucking, why can you buy a gun, but you can't buy cigarettes or alcohol? Okay, America, I get that we're America, but come on though, Okay, so take that. So undo that one though. Okay, they're like, we'll do extra background checks on people from 18 to 21. It's like, hey, even if they're terrible people, they might not have done anything because it's early in their life. Okay, because he's just now an adult or whatever. You know what I mean? If you have to do extra background checks for people that age, just raise the age to get a gun. But it's I understand. It's kind of defeats the purpose of why they exist in the first place, because let's say that guns are supposed to level the playing field. It's if you're let's say you're a frail old woman, or you're a really, really weak, emaciated, diseased man, you should still be able to protect your house from, a burglar that's coming in. So, just a grandma in a rocking chair can use a shotgun and protect her home. Or let's say that you're an 18-year-old orphan, you're still an adult, and you're abandoned and you live on your own, and you're frail and you're small, and you want to be able to protect yourself. So constitutionally, you're allowed to be able to protect yourself as an adult, and that's why they can't really change the age or whatever. but still, but they can change it. They can do whatever they want, probably. You know what I mean? But so, a little side note is, I thought I felt grown up at, 16 years old, and then I remember thinking that I felt grown up at 18, but then I remember about when 22 hit, I remember feeling a noticeable change in my maturity, and I remember thinking that a lot changed in my mind, and I remember thinking that was weird, around when I was 22. So that's why I say the thing about the 18, but it's just I know that that's just, nobody's gonna, I know that that's just. Another thing, make bullets expensive. I know Eddie Murphy did a joke about this or whatever, but it's not a joke though. Because every time I think about how do we solve the problem of all the crime that's happening in my neighborhood? Oh, all these crazy kids that are just doing drive-bys because they think it's fucking goofy and they're just so dumb. Okay, think about this. Like, 9 times out of 10, they're these poverty-stricken, ridiculous, crackhead little teenagers that fucking have nothing better to do, and they fucking have no lives, and they fucking come from shit, and they're just such failures, and they just live in shit that they just have to go out and just be idiots and shoot something, and hopefully they'll get arrested, because being in jail for life will be better than living at home, because they live in such fucking shit and everything sucks. So, okay, good for them, great. I'm glad they're out there. But it's like, if, let's say, oh, they got a gun illegally because they need protection, or they're just rugged and in the streets, and I don't know, but they need a gun because it's tough in the streets. So they bought a gun. Okay, but if bullets were super expensive, okay, then they would actually use the gun for like protection, or maybe like keep it, or not just do drive-bys, at least. Because think about it. It takes one bullet to just murder somebody. And remember, you have this tool that's made to kill something. Okay, so when it comes to self-defense, say there's 5 people trying to kill you. You need 5 bullets tops. Okay, so why do you need entire magazines? Why do you need, like, you know what I mean? I get that, guns are cool and guns go bang and it's awesome. But in reality, if you just have a gun for self-defense, technically, and you only need it for an emergency, and it's a tool to keep you alive, and you only need one to just murder somebody, you should get like 3 bullets, okay? Because if you have 3 bullets, it's like, okay, that's enough, unless we're going to war or we're having a battle, which why would we be having a battle, That's different. If we go to war, we're in the military, that could be different. But regular fucking people should just have like 3 bullets. And it's like, okay, there's your 3 bullets. Think about it wisely. Like $1,000 a bullet. We should think about a bullet as a life. Be like, okay, how much should somebody have to pay if they want to blow somebody's head off and get away with it? Because think about it, they can get arrested, but they still did it. They're like, okay, I'm gonna murder this person because I can. I mean, I can't really, but I can. So I'm gonna go out and I'm just gonna do it, and they'll arrest me and blah blah blah. But it'll already be done, and the damage will already be done, and it'll all just vanish off in the sunset. Yeah. So since humans have free will and they can just decide to be lunatics or terrible people, or since they can just decide to just ruin things for everybody and just decide to just shatter negativity throughout the world, we should make that expensive. Be like, okay, $4,000 for this fucking assault rifle round. Because, you aim it upright, you can probably kill more than one person with it. And you hit one person with it, even in the leg, it's probably gonna fucking fuck them up. And, it's just, but it's just like, you know what I mean? Make this shit a little bit more expensive. People will think about, they won't just go spraying frivolously. They'll be thinking like, oh motherfucker. They'll be like waiting to pull that trigger till they know that the shit's gonna hit. Wouldn't that be fucking miraculous? Super funny. Another fucking hilarity. Fucking this chick at a gas station by my house got shot because 2 people decided, oh, we're in the Wild West all of a sudden. Let's just shoot at each other for whatever the fuck reason, because we're imbeciles. And they just start flinging bullets back and forth, and this poor girl that's getting some fucking gas gets murdered because she's just standing by 2 dumb fucks. So she dies.
Well, this story is truly a tragedy. They say Palmer was walking into this 7-Eleven off Pacific Avenue and 175th Street. She pulled into the parking lot, and that's when they say she was hit with a stray bullet and killed.
Angelina Palmer died by gunfire, killed by a bullet that wasn't meant for her.
It had nothing to do with her. The whole shooting, the incident, she didn't know who those people were. She just happened to get caught up in by walking into a 7-Eleven store.
And it's like, okay, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Okay, so if they didn't have just a bunch of bullets that they could just whip around by their nipples, like, oh, we're so gangster. Oh my God. Oh, we're so gangster. The more holes we just sporadically just spray and everything, the more gangster we are. And the more just reckless and stupid and imbecilic we are, the more gangster it is. So let's just fucking spray all this dumb shit because we're so fucking stupid. And so it's like, okay, God damn it. And so it's like, if these poor crackheads had to actually pay for the bullets, okay, even on the black market, like, oh, they got them legally on the black market. Okay, well, prices are still a thing, though. So even on the black market, it should be like $1,000 for a bullet. Because you're getting, let's say you buy a gun, and you're like, I want it for protection. Hopefully, I'll never use it, And then one day, you're getting mugged in an alley, and you just blip, and you fucking shoot the guy, and you're like, oh my God, can't believe that happened. this came in handy. Oh my God, it took one bullet. Holy shit. You know, the chances that I'll ever have to use this again are really astronomical now. So it's just like, oh, I'm glad that I had this. Yeah, you needed one bullet for your whole fucking life, okay? You know what I mean? So $1,000, people spend like $1,000 on guns all the time. So, you know, $1,000 for the gun, $1,000 for your one fucking bullet, and fucking use it if and when you need it, bitch. You know, kind of thing. $2,000 total for your whole little setup, you know, and you don't have frivolous rounds that you can be wild west with, you know. So, you know what I mean? Just another thought. I know that that one's a little hard to wrap your mind around or whatever. Another thing, though. Okay, so I saw this thing that it talks about if guns were regulated like cars. Like how you have to take a test, and then you have to get a license, and then you have to do like a health screen and like make sure your vision's cool, and like every few years like renew your license and all that stuff. And okay, cool, yeah. I agree that something like that should be in place. It already sort of is or whatever. But another thing that I think should be another good step, you know how when you get a job, you have a reference sheet, and they call up like your old boss, or like maybe for whatever reason, like they call like your parents, or they call like or your last teacher, or they call up a bunch of people and they're like, yeah, he's a normal, credible person. Yeah, he did good in my class. Like, he actually was on chess club. And you have a reference sheet. You should definitely have a reference sheet when you go to buy a gun. Okay. They shouldn't just give it to everybody and just be like, yeah, here you go. I mean, I understand that it's like black market and there's all these things and it's like you can't control everything. But it's like, yeah. The guy that did the Uvalde massacre, literally everybody was like, oh no, yeah, the guy tortured animals. He would fucking try to punk people all the time, but he would fail and then he'd get super mad. He was like stereotypical school shooter, like yeah, everybody kind of saw this coming from a mile away. Like if anybody in the town were to shoot up anybody, it would be this guy. And it's funny, you don't get that a lot. Normally it's like, oh, he was the nicest guy. I never would have seen this coming. It's rare where they're just like, oh no, yeah, this guy was a bad person. He was a lunatic. Yeah, who would sell him a gun? So people like that, when they go to buy a gun, then they should get background checked or whatever, and you know, because it says they bought these guns legally. Okay, so they should have done, you know, an interview where they have a reference sheet where they interview people that know him and just be like, hey, this guy wants to buy a gun. Do you know why? And or is it a good idea? It's like, I get how it's like, that's a gray area, but it's also like guns are a gray area, but it's also just funny because, yeah, it's like if you can do it for jobs, then why not do it for giving out guns? Because guns murder people and destroy lives, and they're just these violent, hellish machines, and they're just like the devil in fucking physical form. They're just the worst thing ever, you know? So yeah, if you just want one of those for just whatever reason, whether it's self-defense or hunting or this or that, you should be questioned. A normal person doesn't just go out and just, oh, I just want one. Everybody has a reason why, okay? And you know, it should be obvious if people want guns for hunting. That's another thing. It's like, you should have a reason for having your gun. It's like, okay, I want it to protect myself. Okay, cool. Here's this, and here's this setup. Oh, I want to hunt animals. Okay, well, do you have a hunting permit? Do you have this? Do you have this? Are you just saying that you just want to hunt animals? Because you have this giant collection of guns, but you don't have a hunting permit? You've never been hunting? You've never this or that or this or that? Are you sure you're not just hunting people? Or waiting for your opportunity to hunt people? Or just like, you know what I mean? Like, if they have all these hunting vests and all these rifles and all these sniper rifles and shotguns, but they've never been hunting, you know, so look into that, you know what I mean? Maybe they should have reasons, or they should have, like maybe they should only have certain guns for certain permits or certain things. It's like if somebody just wants to go out and buy an assault rifle, it's like, oh, I just want one. No, though, you don't. You don't just want one, okay? And if you're saying you just want one, you should be red flagged. You know what I mean? There should be some sort of fucking something, you know what I mean? Like that. It's funny, though, if there was these red flag things, I probably wouldn't have been able to get a gun. They'd be like, no, well, Kyle doesn't really ever, like, leave his house, and he doesn't really make eye contact with me, and you know, he's a little too good at Grand Theft Auto and Hitman and Modern Warfare, and all, like, he's a little too, I wouldn't give him a gun. I mean, he's a good-ass guy, but maybe he's too nice. You know, he's probably too good of a guy, and he's too good at Modern Warfare, so I would totally red flag him. And I would be like, okay, you know what, valid point. But I did just want to protect my weird little self, because I'm in this fucking ghetto that's crumbling, and everyone's trying to kill each other, so I actually was just trying to defend myself, but valid point. Okay, cool, I'm red flagged. I guess I'll just die. It's cool. Yeah, I actually, whatever. It's my karma, I'm sure, right? But yeah, when I was talking about having 3 bullets, I mean, I'm kind of serious, but I'm kind of joking. But it's just like, yeah, maybe a clip. Maybe you get a whole clip. Yeah, give him a, you know. But what it comes down to is why I say 3 bullets is because, like, you don't have to fire the gun. It's not really an emergency, right? Like, I mean, maybe if they're in your living room, like, and they all have guns, and you're like, oh my god, I have to have a gun battle now. But then again, if the bullets are expensive, that wouldn't be happening, so you wouldn't have to defend against it, but you know what I mean. But it's just interesting to think that, yeah, if you had less bullets, people would think about using them more. And you would, and if you know, it doesn't take very many, you know what I mean? It's like a full clip with like 12 bullets in it. It's like that could take out like 12 people if you use it right. It's like, okay, that's enough bullets for your whole life. Okay, you should only have the 1 clip, you know what I mean? And if you want to train, maybe they should just have bullets just at the range where you can train with those rounds, and then you go back and you only have your 3 bullets again, you know? But yeah, so yeah, you should be educated so that your 3 bullets can hit. Because yeah, it's like, oh, well, what if you miss? It's like, well, don't fucking miss. Maybe be close enough, you know? Maybe wait till they're on you and it's a real emergency to fucking boop the fucking round off, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I'm sure you could make your rounds last. Unless you're really fucking duped. But it's like, well, in that case, you might just be duped. And so nothing's going to save you. But I don't know. I just think that there's something there. And I understand that that's like a whole fucking thing. And sure, you need like a clip or whatever. Or like you would need like a budget for if a whole group of people attacked your house. But I think more times than not, it's just like a single person that you're going to have to defend against. I think a good amount of the time it's not going to be a group of people coming after you. And if that's the case, then you're probably duped either way, kind of thing, you know. But another thing, yeah, when it comes to the 4 ideas I have, is raise the age, yeah, up the price of ammunition, do like more extensive like interviews or background checks, or have a reference sheet, or like have a reason for why you're buying the gun, and like go through all this actual like paperwork or whatever. But then the last thing is make murder more of a, like, because think about this, you need to make murder, you need to punish people more for that. Okay? Some people that grow up in gangs or they grow up in bad households, going to prison is an easy way out, you know. They get fed, they get a roof over their head, they get fucking, they don't have to look for a job, they don't have to do this or that. Like, the government literally takes care of them. So like, I'll go out and kill somebody, so the government takes care of me. It's like, or kids shooting up a school, they're like, oh, everybody bullies me, everybody hates me, fucking, they think I'm a nobody. I'm going to shoot up the school, and everybody's going to know who I am because my face is going to be plastered on the TV. Or, even if you're out of school, you're like, oh, I'm going to shoot up a fucking concert, and my face is going to be all over the TV, and everybody's going to remember me forever. I'm going to go down in history, because everybody that does these mass shootings goes down in fucking history. And the more people I kill, the better. The more history I'll go down in. It's like, so goddamn it. It's like, so I see why that happens, but that is working against us too. We got to stop making these people famous. That's something that Jordan Peterson kind of pointed out. That was a good point. I was like, well, that's kind of a good point. We're making these people famous. You know what I mean? And we're not meaning to, but and sure, a lot of people don't just murder people to become famous, but definitely like there's something there. You know? Oh, I'll get all this attention. You know? I don't know, dude. People are fucked up. You know? So it's like. You know what I mean? But yeah, we definitely need to make murder more punishable than a crime. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some people are getting it off easy just going, like, to jail. If people knew that if they went on a massacre, that, like, they just got the shit beaten out of them, they might be less inclined to do that. You know what I mean? Or, like, if they knew that for every person they shot, they would, like, it's one day that they, like, just get, like... Or like, you know, it's one day of solitary confinement. You know, like, I don't know, but you know. So, but when they get locked up, it's like not even, it's like sometimes it's like barely a punishment to these people. So it's like if you made the punishment like actually like ridiculous, like I know that that's like constitutionally fucked up or whatever, but it's just like, you know, there's something there. If everybody was like, oh, I can't murder this guy, or because if I do, like, who knows what the government will do to me, but they'll just fuck me up, or like I'll just go missing. They might even rope me to death. Like, who knows what the fuck. Like, if there was some mystery or like some really bad, like, even if they didn't do that to you, but it was just rumored that that's what would happen to you, people would be, you know, just killing themselves instead of going on massacres, you know, or they would be like, you know, just beating the crap out of people and not killing them, or like, I don't know. They would be really, if they're shooting at rival gang members, they would pick their shots and not spray frivolous rounds everywhere. They're like, oh, if a bullet accidentally hits somebody, they're gonna rape me to death. So yeah, I can't have that be an option, so I'm gonna pick my shots, Make some people think, like, maybe it should be in a demented way, but that's probably what we're coming to, right? Fight fire with fire. But yeah, I guess one of the arguments is just like, okay, so if you wake up to screaming and you're like, oh, what the fuck, and you realize that somebody is just like stabbing your dad to death, and your mom is just sitting there screaming, helpless, just frozen in shock, not doing anything, and the guy's just stabbing, and he's like, you're next, and looks at your mom, and she's just like, oh my god, and she's still like frozen, and your dad's still alive, and he's just like, and just getting fucking annihilated, and you like call the cops. And they're like, okay, we're going to be there in 10 minutes. And the guy's like stabbing your dad. And he's like, oh, in 10 minutes, you're all going to be dead, though. It's funny because, yeah, you're stuck here with me. And I'm already here and blah, blah, blah. And so the girl's like, oh, my God, what the fuck? But the guy realizes that she's there and she's calling the cops. So he turns around and he's just like, oh, now you're going to get brutally stabbed to death also. So that situation sucks, right? Everybody's dying a brutal death in that situation. Everybody's just getting stabbed to death. And the cops are not going to be able to help. The guy might just kill all of them and run off. Maybe do it again in 10 years. Maybe get caught, maybe not. But that guy's just gonna brutally, painfully massacre those people. And there's nothing that's gonna stop him. You're not gonna talk him out of it. The cops might show up, but they might be too late. But so think about this. When the cops do show up, and the guy has a knife, and he turns around, and he's just like, fuck you guys, let's fight. So is it okay if the cop shoots that guy, right? If the guy just stabs his entire family to death and the cops show up and then he turns around with the knife and he's like, I'm going to stab you now too. So the cops normally shoot people in that situation, right? Okay, so should the cops have guns? So this is one of the things we're going to drop in on. So should the cops have guns to be able to help with situations like that? Or should nobody have guns? Because I kind of think that cops should have guns, right? Oh, a good guy with a gun is the only thing to stop a bad guy with a gun. That is true in certain situations, because think about that. Think about that situation right there. Let's say that the cops aren't going to talk that guy down. That guy's not going to drop the knife. That guy's going to stab anybody. The cops, he'll stab the cops too. He doesn't give a fuck. So should the cops be able to shoot that guy? So think about if guns didn't exist, right? They'd have to go in there and fight that guy, or they'd have to go in there with a knife and fight that guy, or like they'd have to do what? But so guns do exist, so that's what they would use, okay? They would go into that situation and they'd be like, bip, and they'd fucking shoot him, okay? In America, there's a chance that you wake up to screaming, you run down the hallway, you see your dad's being stabbed to death, you can just be like, broom closet, boof, and just blow that guy's head clean off his shoulders. Super fucked up. Granted. Super fucked up. But he's done now. You saved your mom. You saved yourself. You possibly saved your dad from being finished off. That guy is finished off. So a gun was good in that situation, right? And I understand how killing people's wrong, and even in self-defense, and some people don't like it, but a lot of people would agree that that situation is justified. Or at least if a cop comes in and shoots him, then that's justified. The cops should have guns, right? But yeah, so then it's like, okay, but then if you arm the cops, but no people have guns, then it's like, okay, people are really at the mercy of cops then. Like, we think that we're at the mercy of cops now. We'd really be at the mercy of cops. But then it's like, oh, will the cops really backstab? Well, maybe, yeah, actually, They already kind of do. Sometimes, but but it's just like, okay, so that's the whole thing's just bullshit. But so yeah, cops with guns, right? Because how would you ever stop a school shooter if cops didn't have guns? Let's think about that. Let's think about somebody that walks into a movie theater and just starts spraying people with an assault rifle. Let's say the cops show up and none of them have guns, but this guy has an assault rifle. What the fuck are they gonna do? You know what I mean? What would you do? How would you stop a massacre? Somebody that's not going to stop, let's say they brought a whole backpack full of fucking shit, they're not fucking going to stop until they're killed. Okay, how would they be stopped if the cops don't have guns? I mean, sure, maybe they'll eventually bum rush them or whatever, wait for them to reload or something, but it's just like, you know what I mean? Cops rely on guns, There's a reason why cops use guns. There's a reason why cops kill people, you know what I mean? When I was a kid, this is how I know I'm a terrible person. When I was a kid, I thought about this. So that tells you that criminals probably have already thought about this and have probably done this. Because as a kid, I had this idea, and I was like, well, that's super fucked up. Because I would play Grand Theft Auto, right? And since I'm a little demonic hellion child, I would start out at Grand Theft Auto, and I would be like, oh, why don't I have any weapons? It's like, because you haven't done any missions yet, Kyle. You gotta like play the game to like progress and get weapons and, do the whole thing. I'm like, oh, but it's free roam. So I just start like stealing cars and start beating people up. And it's like, Kyle, well, you kind of got to play the game because you don't have any money, you don't have any weapons, you don't have any contacts or any missions or really anything because you haven't started the game yet. And I'm just like running around stealing cars like, oh, but this is the game because you can just run around in a free roam and fuck people up. And it's like, yeah, but it's more fun when you have weapons and stuff. And so I realized in this game, you can call the cops on yourself, and the cops show up, and I would just beat the cop to death, steal his gun, get in a shootout with the cops, steal all their guns, and I'd run off into the sunset, lose my one level, or lose the cops, and then I had a bunch of weapons, and I didn't have to do any missions. And I thought about doing that as a kid, But it's just like, I'm sure somebody's done that in real life, you know what I mean? Because it's like, let's say the world is eradicated of guns. Everybody's collected all the guns. Everybody's fucking they press a button and it just all the guns dissolved. Except for cops still have guns because they have to, okay, to keep the peace. So you're like, hey, come over here. I'm being fucking killed. And the cops come to your house with a gun and you just fucking take a shoelace and you just fucking strangle him and fucking 3 of your friends just beat the fuck out of him and you're like, hey. And you go into his police cruiser and now you have a shotgun, an assault rifle, and you have his pistol. And you're just like, okay, well, we have guns now. Because we're criminals and we don't give a fuck. So it sucks that they have guns and that they were willing to help and we just blindsided them because we're terrible people. But we have guns now, so. And people are fucked up like that. So it's like, it's kind of fucked, you know what I mean? Criminals, it's like they do the crime to get the guns. They get the guns to do the crime. It's like they get the guns from doing the crime and then they do the crime with the guns. And it's like the circle of violence. But yeah, it's all fucked up, And there's this fucking video like, oh, this Marines fucking video went viral. And I watched it and it literally sucked ass. It was fucking stupid. It was terrible. It made no sense. He was one of those people that thinks he could just walk in and buy fucking a gun like it's a box of Captain Crunch. It's like, hey, no, you can't, okay? You're giving people misinformation. Maybe you can because you're a Marine, but do you know that just no, you can't. You have to do a background check. Like the places that don't are like corrupt. And sure, if you go to like gun shows and but yeah, those are, they're always supposed to do background checks. And the whole red flag laws, it's like, that's sort of what a background check is. But at the same time, what about the people that don't have backgrounds and they have guns legally and they still decided to just murder one day? Oh, was he planning on it? Oh, does it matter? It's just like, yeah, he was so good for so long. Yeah. Oh, well, congratulations to him. Yeah, well, I'm glad you gave him a gun because he was good for so long. And, crimes can always happen in the future type thing. You know what I mean? So everybody that ever has a gun is a potential person to use that on somebody. It's like, he had a gun for a normal reason and then he went off and did it and used it in an unnormal way. It's like, So every single gun in the world, it has the potential to be used in that wrong way. I mean, you know what I mean? Everybody that ever has a gun, like half the time they use it, they're flipping a coin on whether it's justified or not, or whether it's used in a legal way. So it's like, you know what I mean? But it's like, I bought a gun one time, right? And it's funny because they say that, you just walk into a gun store and just buy it like it's a box of Captain Crunch. That's another one of those myths. No, you can't, okay? No. I went in when I was like 23 or something, so I'm well of age. Yeah. I don't have a criminal background. I went in there, and I didn't get the gun for like a week or like 3 days. I had to fill out some papers. Yeah, they had to do a background check. I had to do this whole thing. It wasn't like walking in and buying a bag of Captain Crunch at all. So, and on the other side of that argument, that comes back to my whole thing. When I bought my own gun, I realized, I was like, you know what? They should have made me use this on something first. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something that I kind of think. I think that when you buy a gun, they should have you fire it. You should learn how to use the gun that you buy, at least. Which, that doesn't help in school shootings or anything, because it's like, we went out and bought this assault rifle and then they trained him with it and then they made sure he really know how to use it. And that's kind of what I was just kind of arguing against. But at the same time, somebody like me that's not gonna go on a massacre when they buy a gun, or any normal person that's using it for self-defense, they should know how to use it. It goes back to that whole VR thing of like stuck in the moment, like, oh, where's the lever again? Or like you just forget like the simple, because you're like, oh, or if it's just like bang and you're like, oh my god, that was, oh my god, or it flies out of your head. Like, yeah, you should know what to expect when you fire it. You should know, like, there's just so many reasons. And I kind of thought when they gave it to me, I was like, I thought it was a little easy, but then again, I'm not like a felon or anything, or I'm not like, anymore. That's just one of those ignorance things, like, oh, in America, you just walk in and if you have the money, they just give it to you. Well, it's actually not true, I mean, it might be in certain states, or in gun shows, or certain, like, other weird sales, but I don't think that's legal. I think they're just doing some under-the-table shady shit, but that's not legal. That goes back to those illegal gun sales that you want to try to stop? Okay, cool, yeah. So yeah, if any gun store is just selling without a background check or IDs, okay, so that store is corrupt. They're not supposed to be doing that, I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe you live in a different state, or like whatever. In Florida, maybe it's like buying a box of Captain Crunch. It's like, give me the assault rifle. That'll be $3.77. It's like, I don't fucking know. I'm just kind of fucking bugged that, oh yeah, that Marines fucking gun control video went viral. So it's like, did it go viral because it was so fucking stupid? Did it go viral because it's like, oh, somebody that's so ignorant? Did his virality really, like, is it because, like, people think that he's telling the truth? He's not telling the truth. He's not even, he's lying to your face. Is that why it went viral? Hopefully that's why it went viral. Oh, this Marine lies to our face and he's so uninformed and just so ignorant and uneducated. Like, hopefully all those people that watched this, the millions of people that watched their video, don't just think that he's just, wow, take his word for it because he's a Marine. But no, anybody that's ever bought a gun knows that he's wrong. It's like, you can't just walk into a gun store and buy a gun like it's a box of Captain Crunch. Maybe he can because, yeah, he's a fucking Marine or whatever. But no, you can't. The fact that he would say that to people, what the fuck's wrong with you? Okay, so fuck his viral fucking video. My video should go viral, but oh, it's probably fucking 3 hours long. But yeah, the Uvalde fucking one of the teachers, the teacher that got his classroom shot up, all of the children in his class died. He got shot, and he lived. And you know what he said? He put it perfectly. He said, nothing could have prepared us for this. No amount of training, no amount of anything. It doesn't matter if cops were in the building, or in the room, or anything. Nothing could have foreseen this, or stopped this, or whatever. Because people are insane, and it happens so quick, and it's just a tragedy. I forget his words, but that's pretty much literally what he said. He said, we can talk about all these school safety things, but it doesn't matter. He's like, oh, make it harder for him to get the guns, though. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure all this, everybody already has a gun, so okay, too late. Now what? Try to take all the guns? Okay, well, that's not an option, so another plan. It's like, why is that not an option? Because it's not. Okay, so another plan, though. Okay? Stop dwelling on that one. Okay? Yeah. And I'm not saying, like, it's not an option for whatever reason. I'm just saying, like, there is so much involved in that. It wouldn't work. There's so many fucking, it's just, okay, so it shouldn't even be an option. If you're a rational thinking person, okay.
My name is Matthew Gordon. I'm a retired United States Marine and spent 2 years as a rifle pistol coach at Weapons Training Battalion, Virginia. I have never once been a person that says we need to round up all the guns and just ban them forever. I know that's not a solution. That is never going to happen. There are too many guns in this country that are already in circulation, so that's not going to happen.
We have over 400 million guns in this country, man. You're not getting away from the guns. You're not.
And if you take them away from legal people that have them legally,
the only people who are going to have them,
are the people that have them illegally.
Exactly.
The recovered firearm was determined to have been stolen during a vehicle burglary on June 11, 2022.
But yeah, it's a myth thinking that everybody could just go knocking on the door and just has a basket and just like, here, put all your guns. And then everybody just puts their guns in a basket and the government's just going door to door. Just, sir, do you have it? And he's like, okay, here's all of my guns. And then he's like, oh, you got one more. And he's like, oh, fine. He's like, the other one too. He takes out his boot. He's like, fine. He's like, okay, now that was all the guns. Okay, we're safe now. Nobody has guns. But it's just like, yeah, you're not going to confiscate the guns, because let's say that they're like, oh, we passed this new law and we're going to confiscate guns. Or maybe they're not going to confiscate them all, but they're going to do the red flag thing, and they're going to confiscate them from who they think shouldn't have them. But, yeah, and so let's say you even do collect all the guns, but some people decide to do that. Some people decide to keep them. Or some people have entire armories, and they decide to keep 2 or 3. Because they have, like, you know, maybe they bought that one from somewhere else, and it doesn't have a serial number or something. Or, you know, or just, let's just say that all the guns do get confiscated, but there's a few people out in the world that you know, had a loophole, or found something, or buried their gun, or you know. And so, okay, so then there's still going to be people out there that have that power over people, because they do have guns. They're just not going to let that known until it's too late for somebody, you know. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's a whole big thing. It's a whole giant thing. That's like, it's like saying, let's confiscate fucking all the alcohol in the world. It's like, okay, good luck, you know. It's like, remember the Prohibition? People were making fucking, like, cabinets built into their walls, or they were, like, hollowing out their floors of their houses, or they were, like, doing crackhead things to hide all the alcohol from people, because people liked it so much and they didn't want to give it up, but they knew they had to, so they were just like, everybody's just gonna hide it. And so, and yeah, and you can also make alcohol, so it's kind of the same thing with guns. It's like everybody would be hiding them. They would be so, like, okay, yeah, scour every little fucking square foot of America. Yeah, okay. Because nobody's gonna bury them or put them in trees or hide them in the most crackhead ridiculous place. Yeah, scour every inch of America and try to find all the guns that everyone's going to hide, you know. Or, like, they could disassemble and hide in places. But, yeah, it's like taking all the alcohol. It's like people are just going to make the alcohol, they stash it in their walls, they have it hidden in their ass. I mean, like, you're not going to control anything. Like, the world is a big place. People are nuts. People are way too innovative, especially when it comes to just being deceptive. People will, the things that I've heard people say and the lengths that people will go to just to be deceptive is ridiculous. I've heard people say things like, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, like, you put so much time and effort into that when you could have just been honest. You decided to just do this whole lie for no reason. Like, I've seen so many people just be bad people and just do so many ridiculous things, and you're just like, but it's just like, there's so many outlets and there's so many things to it that it's all bullshit, and I could talk about it forever. Yeah, making guns illegal isn't going to do anything, you know what I mean? Because the criminals will still get them. So yeah, it's a mental health issue. Because, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I have a pretty interesting solution for gun control. And you know what? Maybe I'm Jesus, or I'm God, or I'm just a Zen master, or oh, Kyle's mastered life and happiness. And, oh, Kyle's just the greatest fucking person in the world. But let me tell you, if everybody in the world thought like me, we wouldn't have to worry about massacres or murders. I don't know what's wrong with me or why I'm so special, but I'm a very anti-murderer. Like, when I see any murder, let alone a massacre, I always just think, how? Why? What the fuck is wrong with people? What is wrong with that person's life? How did they get so entangled in what web of bullshit and lies God damn it. What the fuck? Like, how? What? And so I often think, if everybody in the world was like me, then sure, we could have guns, and we wouldn't have to worry about massacres, because who does that? Okay? But yeah, so it's a what the fuck is wrong with people issue. I think it's yeah, we gotta really dig deep to find out the root problem. But it's just like, yeah, people are losing their morals, or their will to live, or their drive for a normal life. Because it's like, yeah, me and my mindset, it's like, I'm living life. Life's a video game. I just do this thing, and I'm on this little track. It's like, oh, ha, 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 and I get my little coins, and ding, ding. And then I fucking sleep, and I eat, and I'm just like, oh, life, yeah, that's not that bad. And I'm just like, I'm just so glad that I'm not, like, homeless or, like, struggling anymore. Like, oh, thank God there's some routine to my life. I'll just chill. Yeah, let's go. It's like, yeah, I'm happy, guys. Yeah, I'm a normal person. Yep, don't mind me. You know, it's like, I'm just chilling. Okay. And yeah, and it just makes me wonder if, like, there's so many people out there that are just like, nah, I'm just gonna be a murderer. I'm just gonna be a psychopathic lunatic. Let's just go kill people. And it's just like, so I don't know what the fuck. But the key is to get people to think more like me. And oh, Kyle's God, and oh, look at him. And I hate to toot my own horn, and like I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. But I swear to God, that if people just had my mindset, it's like, people wouldn't be killing each other. It's like, and I don't know how to impart this mindset on people, or how to get people to just be content with life, is impossible, right? It's not even worth trying. But it's like, and I know what you're thinking. It's like, well, who the fuck are you? You're just some guy. Like, I literally, like, who are you? Like, you don't have an armory behind you. You're not, like, jacked. I don't see gun videos on your channel. Like, I've discredited everything that you've said just because of your shirt. Like, I've discredited everything that you're about to say, or I've discredited you entirely because you had a gun in the first 30 seconds and your finger was on the trigger. It's like, I've discredited everything you're about to say because, well, look at you. I mean, you're obviously just a child with a fake beard on or something. Like, but it's like, and I get it. I'm like a nobody. I don't go to the shooting range every day. I'm not like, I do own a gun. And, even if I did have to use the gun, I would not go for a kill shot right off the bat. I'm the kind of dude that's like, if they're not armed, I'd probably shoot them in the frickin' toe first just to see if that fucking changes their entire perspective or their mind, you know what I mean? And, I disagree with cops being so, like, murder happy or just, like, they're just so quick to shoot people, It's like, I don't disagree with the cops. I just disagree with some situations, But that has to do with everything. Cops, not cops, just like, everybody's ridiculous, and cops are humans too, so. But I think that it helps to get the perspective from somebody that is just a normal person. Me, look at how normal I am. No, I'm just a normal, I think that I'm a good person to get their opinion because I live in a town with high gun violence. I have an open mind. I own a gun, but I'm also very terrified of guns and afraid of being shot. I am very empathetic of people and people's situations. And I've lost a lot of friends and acquaintances to gun violence. I've known way too many people probably that have been shot and killed. And I grew up with like a unhealthy fascination with guns. I always thought they were cool, and I liked violent movies, and I grew up playing violent video games. So yeah, I've grown up with an interesting relationship to guns. I've grown up with guns in my house. I got in trouble for posting pictures of the guns and putting them all on my MySpace when I was a kid. And and I got in trouble like fucking around with my friends fucking in their fucking parents' guns, and I lost one of my dad's guns when I was a kid. I was a hoodlum or whatever, I was a little fucking hellion. But yeah, no, I'm just a dude that is just trying to live his life and not get murdered or anything, But yeah, I'm just a human being that doesn't want to get shot, just like everybody else. So that's where my point of view comes from, is I'm just a dude, and I understand that guns are cool, and I understand the whatever behind them, all so cool. And I get it. I want to defend myself, and I do have a little, like, American tough side of me to where I want to be able to defend my family, and if anybody thinks they're just going to get one over on me, I want to be able to be like, no, fuck you, and if it comes down to, like, some fucking, homeless crackhead nobody trying to rob me versus me, I want to believe that, I should be able to win that fight, I should be the one that survives that battle and goes into society. You know what I mean? If one of us has to die, it should be that fucking guy, not me, because I'm a good person. Oh, Kyle's, oh yeah, you sound so awesome. You sound so great, right? Don't I sound so great so far? But no, so I'm just a normal statistic of a person, okay? I'm a middle adult aged dude that is just hanging out. I don't want to get shot. I don't plan on ever shooting anybody. I am just living my life. I have my gun for defense only, and it's and so I'm just a good. I think it's interesting to get my opinion, not the opinion of somebody that's in the Marines, or the opinion of somebody that has an entire armory, or the opinion of somebody that's running for office, or the opinion of somebody that's obviously this way or the other. I am a very open book. I'm very swayable. I'm very moldable. And I understand the self-defense side of it, but I also understand the pain and heartbreak that they bring. I have never experienced being shot personally, but I can sort of imagine how terrible it would be to just have a hole blown through you. just anywhere. Just I can imagine that that'd be super painful. And from all the videos that I see, it's like everybody always thinks they're tough, and then they get shot once, and it's like, oh, they never could have seen that coming. Oh, and now everything's terrible. And oh, all of a sudden they're a good guy. Oh, all of a sudden everything's changed. Oh my God, I have perspective now. Oh my God, save me. Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. Oh my God. And so it's just always just the worst fucking thing ever. Oh my God. Oh, they just, oh fuck. Oh my God. You know, and it's just like, did they really not think that that's what it was going to be like? So it's like, what the fuck? But it's like, you know what I mean? You know, I don't know. And if you think, oh, all these crimes, all these things that you're saying, they're so drastic, people aren't really like that. People aren't really evil like you see in movies. People really don't do drive-bys. People don't just shoot people. People don't actually just, you know, you're wrong. Either you live in a very privileged place, or maybe I just live in a very fucked up place. But you're so wrong. I watch news all the time, and people shoot people for everything. All the time. So, like, all the time. I'm surprised I don't see it in real life all the time. You know what I mean? There's so many people, and the earth is so big, apparently, because people just get murked all the time. And it's funny, that's another one of those myths. Every time somebody pulls a gun out, I was like, oh, what are you going to do, shoot me? The answer is always yes. It's just about always yes. It's literally always like 90%, it's yes. You know what I mean? Like the people in the, oh, I dare you to beep bop, but you, okay. It's like, yeah, people think, they'd go to jail for murder. Oh, they would never. Oh, it would be so drastic if they shot me. Oh, life would just be over for me and them. Oh, nobody would ever do that in real life. That's movies. People don't just shoot people. Oh, it's so drastic and horrifying and just ridiculous that nobody actually just shoots people. No. People don't just come into people's houses in the middle of the night and tie them up and fucking put a gun to their wife's head and force them to open their gun safe and vanish off in the night with like an entire armory. People don't do that in real life. That's just movie kind of stuff. No, you're totally wrong. You're super wrong. Oh, people wouldn't shoot at the cops if they try to confiscate their guns. It's not a Wild West movie. You know, people wouldn't actually shoot at the cops. You know, people know better than that. You're totally wrong. You're super wrong about that if you think that. like no, yeah. So people are insane. People are crazy. Just about everybody's a murderer, or at least 50% of people are just cold-blooded murderers. I'm pretty sure. They're just waiting for the time to snap. I swear to God. You know what I mean? That's what the fucking news makes it seem like. But it's just, I don't know. It's insane. Everybody's insane. And it's too late. It's already too late. And yeah. It's just like, but yeah, doesn't matter if it's a fucking handgun, or an assault rifle, or a can of gasoline, or a fucking screwdriver. People are the problem. Okay? And I forget who said it. It was like on The Daily Show, or Jon Stewart, or John Oliver, or one of those people. But he said, yeah, gun laws only affect, like, law-abiding citizens. So it's like, the people that are going to go on massacres, they're not abiding by any gun laws. You know, yeah, criminals, you know, people that break laws. It's just another law that they'll break. I'm pretty sure I figured it all out, right, guys? The problem is you guys. It's not the guns. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. And with that, I don't know, be nice to each other. Try not to shoot anybody, right? You know? Tell me what you think. Or don't. I don't give a fuck, right? None of it matters. It's all just a bunch of people talking. I don't know. Till next time, say goodbye to the beard. Yeah. I don't know. I gave up on life, pretty much. And I'm so sorry. I know that I just look so ridiculous all the time. I look so fucking just... It's like I'll try a little bit. Part of it is, I see all these people on doing all these fucking YouTube shows, and they always look so stylish. They always look so great. And their background's all so pristine and planned out. I'm just sitting in my room, and just whatever I look like is what you get. And it's probably not good. That's how I am. That's my format. You see just what's behind me, coincidentally, because I put the camera right there. So you're welcome, okay? And I guess I've started changing this up, whatever side it needs on. I guess I started changing this up because, you know, because I was, you know, whatever, you know. But that's it. But yeah, so I think about that all the time. I'm like, I can't do this video because I look like shit. I should probably like do this or that, and then I'm just like, nope, the idea is gonna be gone. I'm gonna be totally over it. It's like I need to do it now, even though I look like a homeless fucking wizard. Yeah, fucking yeah. I look, yeah. My coworker told me my beard made me look homeless. I was like, I know that, okay? I know that, okay? It's part of it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna shave it out though. So, say goodbye. Bye. Anyways, yeah. Deuces and bye. Bye.